music.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it. Attaboy.
Let me drive. I won't make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It is like being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine low to the ground, extra big oil pan that'll cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when you run so close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it. Those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you primed, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
I mean, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? I mean, come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. You sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
You gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
Look out there. Out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes. Every gear change, every corner. Perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it?
what we do. It's passion, love, which is why we are prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own. Please let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Grand Prix World Series. We are here for round 4 today, under the shadows of Mount Fuji in Japan, and this promises to be another fantastic event in the Grand Prix World Series. We're going to start off with League 2 as per usual, but before we get underway, let's have a quick look at the driver's standings. Brendan Hartley still on top with 51 points ahead of Tatiana Calderon in the Mastercard Lola, 42 points for her. Lucas Di Grassi, consistent scoring has put him third for the time being on 30 points, ahead of Marcus Ericsson, our latest Grand Prix World Series race winner after he took the victory last time out in Sentul. Alexander Rossi in the Larus is 5th on 21, ahead of Takuma Sato and Andre Lotterer, both equal on 18 points. Jack Aitken, Jaime Alguersuari and Kimiya Sato round out the top 10 there. And as for the team standings, it is Pacific Grand Prix that still leads the way on 59 points. 9 ahead of Mastercard Lola, both of those teams picking up race wins so far this season. Zach Speed, 3rd on 28, 2 ahead of Fon Metal, who picked up the spoils last time out. Doma on 31 ahead of Scuderia Coloni. Larus, Force India, Andrea Moda and Carlin all within the top 10 as well, with plenty of points still to play for this season. And before we get underway, let's bring you the driver changes that we have for today, the first of which coming with Scuderia Coloni. Marcus Armstrong is back in the race seat, but this time instead of Christian Lundgaard, who picked up a race ban for his part in the retirement of Mike Conway at the last round in Sentul. This will be a good chance for Marcus Armstrong to show that he belongs in a Grand Prix World Series car, and he will want to make the most of this opportunity that he has been given today. Over at Real, we have a replacement of Oliver Turvey by Dan Ticktum, who will make his Grand Prix World Series debut here today. Ed Hunter taking that decision to evaluate Ticktum in the race seat, see how he gets on, and we will keep an eye on his progress. The final driver change coming at Ram for you today. Gary Paffett will make his debut in place of Sebastian Loeb, who picked up a race ban last time out in Sentul. And looking at this one, I kind of feel like Paffett might be quite a good shout in place of Loeb here. Paffett having a lot of experience within a Grand Prix car. And I can tell you, no one would have expected this despite the upgrades. He has only gone and put it on pole position. Gary Paffett in the Ram, first time out. 33 thousandths of a second ahead of Kimiya Sato, one of the home heroes today. And Alan McNish putting it third on the grid to have both Rams within the top 3. Ross McGregor will be absolutely ecstatic with that one. And this is what the upgrade window can do to these races. If you put a lot of your upgrades into power, you can get yourself up the sharp end. But if you put a lot of it into power, then you have to call your reliability into question. Are the Rams going to make it all the way? This will be fascinating to see whether Paffett can indeed hold on for a debut win as well as a debut pole position. Marcus Ericsson continuing on his strong form from last time out in Sentul to put his Fon Metal 4th on the grid ahead of Susie Wolf. Jake Dennis, one of his better sessions, to go 6th for Andrea Moda ahead of Jack Aitken in the Force India. Lucas Di Grassi, Andre Lotterer and Takuma Sato, another of the Japanese drivers, also in the top 10 here today. In 11th place, we have Jerome D'Ambrosio ahead of Callum Ilott. Pascal Wehrlein not doing too well in comparison to his teammate, 13th on the grid for him, ahead of Luciano Becchetta and Tatiana Calderon, one of our championship contenders, only going 15th here today. She will want to move as far forward as possible. Terre Porcher, Mike Conway, Alexander Rossi our debutant Dan Ticktum and Sam Bird all within the top 20 as well. And if you're wondering why Brendan Hartley has not been read out yet, that is because he is in 21st. I told you it was a bit of a mixed up grid. The championship leading Pacific only going 21st, 1.1 seconds off of the fastest time set by Paffett. Marcus Armstrong on his return is 22nd ahead of Fabio Lima, Sergio Sette Camara, Jaime Alguersuari and Valentino Rossi once again bringing up the rear in League 2. You do wonder whether his time in this championship might be limited. That's for Jake Sanson to decide. But for now, let's go down to trackside for all of the action, and to take you through it, here's Tom Cairns.
Here we go then for round 4 of the Grand Prix World Series. This is the League 2 event here in Fuji. Can Gary Paffett, on his Grand Prix World Series debut, get off the line well? Kamir Sato, the home hero, alongside. We await for the 5 red lights to illuminate. Once they extinguish, we'll be racing here in Fuji. Lights out, and away we go. Gary Paffett gets off the line well, as does Kamir Sato. Watch out for the front of Marcus Ericsson coming through. He could well be leading to turn 1. In fact, he's already in front. Marcus Ericsson takes the lead here in Fuji in the League 2 race, but not for long, because there is the Andrea Moda of Jake Dennis getting up the inside, and he leads coming out of turn 1. Sensational start by the British driver Jake Dennis. And then we see the Real there at the back. Couldn't quite pick up which one that is, because they're both towards the back of the field. But coming towards the second braking zone as we ride on board with Lucas Di Grassi, who's behind the second ramp. In fact, that's Gary Paffett. He's dropped down to 4th place. Gary Paffett getting off to a terrible start, and I think he made a mistake into turn 2. And whilst that is going on, I think Marcus Ericsson may have just got in front of Jake Dennis at some point in the lap. No, it doesn't look like he has, but I think that's just because Gary Paffett made a mistake coming through, well, I think what is technically turn 3, because there's a kink between the first and second braking zones. But we can see Marcus Ericsson going alongside Jake Dennis into the chicane. I think Ericsson has got the move done here, unless Jake Dennis can fight back. No, the Swede has got in front. So Marcus Ericsson in the Fon Mattel leads the Fuji Grand Prix in League 2. Jake Dennis in second place now. Jack Aiken in the Force India doing a terrific job in 3rd position. Gary Paffett 4th. Lucas Di Grassi in the Sack Speed in 5th place. And it's Kamir Sato, Alan McNish, Susie Wolf, Luciano Piquetta and Takuma Sato rounding out the top 10. Both Dome drivers, both of the Japanese pilots in this race are in the top 10 placings. So looking to see who actually got off to a good start from their grid positions. So we watch Jack Aiken make a move on Jake Dennis into tow. Oh, there's contact made between the Force India and the Andrea Moda. Both got away with it, but looked a bit marginal that from Jack Aiken. He gets through nevertheless, and he goes through and up into second position. Well, Marcus Ericsson moving up from 4th into the race lead. Susie Wolf has dropped back a few positions. She's not had a good start. Jake Dennis in 3rd place now. He was 6th on the grid before getting into turn 1 first. And Lucas Grassi making up a few positions. Andre Lotter has dropped back a couple of placings. Takuma Sato is in the same position as where he was on the grid. A long way to go yet in this one. 50 laps it will be. We expect a mixture of strategies, some doing the 1 stop, others doing a 2. There's Kamir Sato sending one up the inside of Lucas Di Grassi into the chicane, and that's enough to put him up into 5th position. So Sato in front there, ahead of the Brazilian. And Alan McNish in 7th position, with Ram taking their first pole in the Grand Prix World Series. That's enough to give them their first championship point, which means all 26 teams have scored in the Grand Prix World Series so far, although I'm sure a lot of them will want to be scoring more than what they already have. The top 3 teams at the end of the season will be promoted to League 1, and the bottom 3 teams in League 1 will go down to League 2. Marcus Ericsson with the fast lap of the race, albeit briefly because Kamir Sato has got that back. Riding on board with Jack Aiken as he's got Jake Dennis right behind. Kamir Sato locking up into turn 1 but getting away with it. So far, so good for Fon Mattel, hoping for 2 wins in a row in the Grand Prix World Series. And there we can see the dome further back. That looks like... Is that Kamir Sato? No, that can't be Kamir Sato. That has to be Takuma Sato. Unless I'm mistaken with the driving... No, it is Kamir Sato. That was actually a replay of what we were watching back, because he made a lock-up into turn 1. So going through the sweeping right-hander of 100 art. And now into the hairpin they go. Turn 6, and there's a kink of 7 before a right-hander 8. And that's Brendan Hartley off the track. What's happened there to the Kiwi? We'll have a look on the replay. Did he get tapped from behind? Couldn't quite tell from that angle there. We'll have a look now to see what actually happened to the New Zealander. Brendan Hartley just ran wide and went off the circuit. He hit the barrier on the way through. Now, does he get out of there, or has he done too much damage to the Pacific? And further behind, there is Sergio Sette Camera getting into a tangle there with Fabio Lima at turn 1. So it's been a disastrous start to the race, really, for the Pacific team, managed by Kevin McMullen. That first victory in Malaysia must seem like a long time ago. And there's the yellow flags because of Brendan Hartley going off the circuit. And he's able to get out of there, and no action is going to be taken in relation to the incident involving Sergio Sette Camera and Fabio Lima as Brendan Hartley gets out of the runoff area and rejoins the race in 26th. And for reversing onto the track, Brendan Hartley's been given a back of the grid suspended until the end of the season. So if he does that again later on in the campaign, he will get a back of the grid penalty for the next race that precedes when he does the next incident that is similar to what he's just done. Tatiana Calderon in 12th position, the race winner in Yongam, pulling alongside Takuma Sato to go up into 11th position, although she's not able to move in front there, the MasterCard Layla, but I think she's about to outbrake the Japanese pilot into turn 1 and go up into 11th position. Andre Lotter with the fast lap of the race now in the Andrea Moda. He's currently running in 9th position in front of Luciano Piquetta. There he is in your picture, Lotterer, hoping to build on the success from last time out in Zental. We finished on the podium, which will have give team manager Lucy Ballwood some morale boost. Marcus Ericsson bridging himself clear of the rest. He's 1 second clear of Jet Aiken. Jake Dennis keeping in touch as we see Callum Eilert think about a move on Teo Porcher but can't get through. Behind him, what looks like is that the two LaRousse cars, nose to tail? If so, they will be Alexander Rossi and Callum Eilert. I can't quite tell which is in which order because the graphic is not showing us the positions from outside the top 15 at the moment. Hopefully we'll find out in due course. There's Fabio Lima locking up again. That's in turn 15, but getting away with it. And turn 16 is the last part of the lap, as Kamiya Sato is the driver inheriting the fastest lap. You get a point for setting the fastest lap of the race, no matter where you finish in the Grand Prix World Series. So they come over the line once more to begin lap 5. Marcus Ericsson doing a terrific job in the Fonmetel. Now his teammate Pascal Verline is running in 14th position, just in front of Eilert. So Eilert up into the top 15 placings, and we can see Takuma Sato, who was on pole here last season. Not last season, the season before, when he was substituted for Bruno Senna in the Onyx squad. Sadly, he retired from the race later on in the event. It looked good that he was going to be on the podium, but not on that occasion. And you're seeing a replay, and I think that's Calderon making a move up the inside of the Carlin of Luciano Piquetta. Calderon keeping her foot in it, and she's able to pull off a fantastic overtake there from the Colombian. Very, very good job. So there's Takuma Sato. Behind him is the second of the Force Indias, that is the Belgian, Jerome D'Ambrosio. Jake Dennis pushing on further forward. He's hoping to get his first meaningful points finish of the season. Whilst we see Jaime Osorio locking up into the last turn. Now Coloni, who are without Christian Lundgaard after his shenanigans with Mike Conway in the last race, that put him on, that he's now serving a race ban, and in his place is the man who raced alongside him in Malaysia at the beginning of the season, Marcus Armstrong. Armstrong running further up in 21st position, Alguersuari 23rd. It's been quite a a chain of fortune compared to the last race for Clooney, not in terms of the race finish, but where they actually qualified. We did have the upgrade window after the last round in Sensal, which has shaked things up a bit in the pecking order, which is how we like it in the Grand Prix World Series, keeping it open for everyone. And now we are seeing a battle between Jake Dennis and Kamir Sato going into the Dunlop chicane. And there's Sato making a move as we watch Jake Dennis make a lock-up and getting away with it. Now this is round 4 of the championship. After Fuji, we go to Kyalami next time out, and then to Istanbul for the first European race of the season. As we watch Callum Ilott, I think he's just got through on Pascal Wehrlein up to 14th position. Going back to what I was saying about the calendar, we go to Misano after Istanbul, then to Dijon-Bourguignon, which is a track that is designed by the Leighton House team manager. Chris Cavani did a terrific job with that. After the French round, we go to Brands Hatch, then to Hockenheim, Panonia, and then to Valencia, the street circuit in Spain. And then it's on to Buenos Aires in South America, in Argentina, Curitiba in Brazil, San Carlos in Venezuela, and then the season finale will be at Laguna Seca. As you can see, one of the Carlins of Théo Pourchaire running in 15th position. So it's not the Carlin, sorry, it's the Dams Viant. They almost look similar to the Carlin and the Dams Viant. Théo Pourchaire racing for Jake Sanson's Dams Viant team. They've not had too much to celebrate so far this season, the Dams Viant squad. Pourchaire's teammate being Valentino Rossi. So as far as League 2 is concerned, Dams Viant sitting in 11th place in the team standings with 2 points, which Pourchaire had managed to achieve. And now we can see Kamir Sato thinking about a move on Jake Dennis this time. The Japanese fans are standing up to see their home hero make a move. And they stand up in delight to see Kamir Sato go up into the podium places. The next man ahead of him is Jack Aiken. So, Ericsson continuing to lead, 1.8 seconds as the out as D'Ambrosio loses a position to Kamir Sato into turn 1. Well, he actually outbraked himself, I think, did D'Ambrosio, and that allowed the dome to go back through again. He gathered it all together and keeps going. And we ride on board with Jack Aiken in the Force India. Ed Spencer will be very happy to see where he is at the moment. Now, Force India going into this race, 8th in the standings, but very close behind LaRousse Coloni. And of course behind them, just 1 point behind them, is Andrea Moda, of which they've got Jake Dennis up there in 4th position and Lotta in 9th. So it's pretty nip and tuck between those in the sort of mid-table section of the team standings, as Dan Tickton, in his maiden Grand Prix World Series race, gets up the inside of Valentino Rossi, and that puts him up into 20th position. So we expect to see a mixture of 1 and 2 stop strategies between the drivers, which was the case last season. And I think given how long the pit lane is in terms of the amount of time you lose, the one-stop strategy seems to be the best way to go about it. Now Jerome D'Ambrosio pulling out from the slipstream of Takuma Sato. And is this going to be a change in position into turn 1? I think it is, but it's bad news for Théo Pourchaire as he pulls off out of the race. He's the first one to go. So it's not the start to the race for Jake Sanson that he would have wanted. So it looks like a front suspension failure for the Frenchman. Pourchaire has retired. And it's all down to Valentino Rossi to see if he can salvage anything for the French team. There is Ericsson. Continuing on. Managing the gap as we see Callum Ilott make a move onto Kimisato, but can't quite make it stick. He stays behind the Japanese driver. Ericsson making it look so easy, but there's a long way to go yet. And Alexander Rossi locking up there into turn 15, but getting away with it. And up there behind him is one of the Reals, which is Mike Conway. Now, Real haven't had too much to celebrate this season yet either. They have scored points, obviously. They are currently 12 with just the 1 point, which was a 10th place finish, of which was achieved by Mike Conway. And that's a problem for Alguersuari. So the race winner here 2 seasons ago is going to pull off the circuit. And it's the suspension problem again. So out at the same corners where Paul Scher had pulled off. So that's one less car for team manager Gemma Dixon to focus on. So Alguersuari pulls to the side and he's out of the race. Christian Lundgaard, sorry, not Christian Lundgaard. Marcus Armstrong's not running up that highly at the moment. So it doesn't look like Colonia are going to be coming away with it here with any points, by the looks of it. Here is Jack Aiken, continuing to stay in touch with Marcus Ericsson, the race leader. We've had 3 different drivers from 3 different teams take the checker flag in first place in League 2 so far this season. And there's a problem for the Ram. That is Gary Paffett in trouble. That's a terrible shame for the Brit, who did a terrific job in qualifying. But it's the end of the road for him. And he just needs to be careful he doesn't become an obstacle for the drivers behind. He needs to pull that off as soon as he can here. He's holding up Susie Wolf and Andre Lotterer. Both get through, no problem. But at least he can leave with a championship point to his name for getting the pole position. Now the team manager of the Ram Racing team, which is Ross McGregor. As we can see, Paffett pull off. And he has retired from the Fuji Grand Prix. Alan McNish running up there in 6th position now. He moves up because of his teammate's retirement. There's Kamir Sato running in 3rd position. So McNish goes up to 6th place. Wolf 7th, Lotterer 8th, Calderon 9th, and Biquetta, who has scored points in every race so far this season. He's one of 3 drivers in League 2 to do so. The only driver outside of League 2 to have scored in every round this season has been Patrick Ward in League 1. Sam Bird in 14th position, locking up at the last turn. He keeps going. Oscar Verlaine behind him in 15th position. 3 cars out of the race so far. They are Gary Paffett, Jaime Alguersuari and Taya Porcher. We are on lap 12 out of 50 here at Fuji Speedway. And Alexander Rossi getting through on Pascal Verlaine up into 15th position. Verlaine having another tough day so far. And Aiken under pressure at the moment from the Dome of Kamir Sato. Dome back on form after a difficult couple of races in Yongam and Sensul. McNish thinking about a move on Lucas Di Grassi into the chicane. And now we see Jack Aiken. His focus will be to just keep hold of 2nd place for now. Dan Tixon, we ride on board, sitting behind Mike Conway and Dan Tixon, who's substituting for Oliver Turvey. He's been dropped for the time being. He's not under a suspension, but it was dropped for this round to give Dan Tixon a go. Ericsson continuing to push on as Kamir Sato running in 3rd place. Jake Dennis a couple of seconds back in 4th. There's Lucas Di Grassi. And McNish, we see Jerome D'Ambrosio getting the job done on Luciano Piquetta into turn 1 further back. So he's gone up into the points. Both Force India cars are in the points now. And I wonder how long it'll be before we start seeing the 2 stoppers come into the pits. I don't think we're too far away from it. Now those at the head of the field may decide to do the 2 stop, but we'll find out in due course, certainly within the next few laps. We're on lap 13. And we can see a move further back. That looks like one of the... Is that a Real getting up alongside? I think it was the Zach speed of Sam Bird. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Sam Bird. I think it might have been one of the... I couldn't quite tell what that was. However, we are seeing some pit lane activity as Kimi Sato come into the pits, and Jake Dennis likewise. So they're the first of the 2 stoppers to come in. They need to make this strategy work. They'll probably fall to the back of the field, in all honesty, given how long the pit lane is around Fuji and how long you have to be on the pit lane limiter for. Sam Bird also coming in. Sorry, no, not Sam Bird. I know that Tatiana Calderon is in. Callum Milot is in. That was the driver I was after. I suppose the benefit for Kimi Sato and Jake Dennis is that they'll rejoin in track position. Fabio Lima coming into the pits, as is Sergio Sette Camera. It's quite a short circuit, is Fuji Speedway. .5 kilometres if you were to include the chicane. Played host to Formula 1 on 4 occasions, twice in the 70s and twice in the noughties. Currently host of the 6 Hours of Fuji, which he will be doing so this year. GT World Challenge Asia, of course, as well. Super GT and, of course, Super Formula. As we see the race leader Marcus Ericsson coming in, as is Jack Aiken. So they are responding to Kimi Sato and Jake Dennis. In fact, the top 6 are all coming into the pits. Lucas Di Grassi, Alan McNish, Andre Lotterer, and Susie Wolf is also coming in. So that hands the lead over to, of all drivers, Jerome D'Ambrosio. Luciano Piquetta in 2nd place. It's Takuma Sato goes up into 3rd. Sam Bird, Dan Tickton and Pascal Wehrlein also move up. As is Marcus Armstrong. As we see, I think Jack Aiken is in... Yeah, he is. Jack Aiken's in front of Marcus Ericsson. I think what's happened is that Ericsson had to wait in his box to avoid being released into the path of other drivers, and that has handed effectively the race lead to Jack Aiken now. And that's bad luck there for Marcus Ericsson. But there is Jack Aiken's in front of Kimi Sato, who's completing an undercut on Ericsson as well. So that's a double blow there for the Swedish driver. Jake Dennis is effectively in 4th place now. Having said that, do not be at all surprised to see some drivers going for the 1 stop here, around about lap 24 or lap 25. D'Ambrosio is 2.4 seconds clear of Luciano Piquetta and has got some clear track ahead of him. No back markers to worry about, just focus on the driving for now. Are we seeing any pit lane activity at the end of this lap? And the answer to that question is yes, because Jerome D'Ambrosio is coming into the pits, which hands the lead to Luciano Piquetta. So for the first time in his Grand Prix World Series career, Luciano Piquetta leads a race. Sam Bird also coming in, as is Dan Tickton. So the top 4 at the moment are Piquetta, Takuma Sato, Wehrlein and Armstrong. Jack Aiken, the net race leader, is in 5th position. But they will have another stop to make. There's no way they'll get to the end of the race on the fuel load that they are on. Well, there is a fun Mattel of Pascal Wehrlein by the looks of it. Marcus Armstrong further back. Jack Aiken is coming up behind him very shortly. There's Kamir Sato as well, closing on Jet Aiken. This is important for Jet Aiken to get through on the Colonia ahead. He will not want Kamir Sato to get into the slipstream and get through. There's Kamir Sato running in second place. Biketta up ahead. And Biketta, does he come into the pits? No, he doesn't. Neither does Takuma Sato. Probably expect Verline to do the same as well. And now we can see Jet Aiken make a move on Marcus Armstrong. It's crucial he gets in front here. But it's also important he does not allow him back through once he's ahead before the corner. And I think that's what is about to happen. Nope. Aiken's got the move done, but you can see nearly contact made between Armstrong and Kamir Sato. Both get away with it. That so nearly could have ended in tears there for the home hero. Now we can see Pascal Verline in third position on track. So coming towards the Dunlop chicane, Kamir Sato making a move this time on Marcus Armstrong. It looks like the Fonmetal of Marcus Ericsson's trying to get through at the same time, but he's had to hold back, so he'll have to wait a few more corners at least, I think, will Ericsson before he makes his move. And Jake Dennis will be coming up behind very shortly as well, so it's vital that Ericsson gets the move done soon. And behind Ericsson is Jake Dennis and Lucas Di Grassi, who have also stopped. Now, can Ericsson get through on Armstrong here? And whilst we watch Pascal Verline, and there is Valentino Rossi, who's towards the back in 20th position. Can't tell if he's got anyone right behind him trying to make a move, because we did see some drivers come into the pits. 23 cars left in the race at the moment. Gary Paffett, Jaime Alguersuari and Teo Porcher all retiring with mechanical gremlins. And now it looks like Jet Aiken's right on the tail of Pascal Verline now. This is important, because Aiken knows that Verline is doing the one-stopper. And Marcus Armstrong fending off the Andrea Moda of Jake Dennis as he looks to try and get through on the Colonia at the same time. Takuma Sato continuing on in second place. When will he decide to pit? Well, if he's committed himself to the one-stop strategy, he needs to stay out there. And he's in good track position at the moment, is Sato. Whilst we see Dan Tixon, who's already made a pit stop. So we expect him to be back in the pits again before this race is over. As we see Jake Dennis make a move on Marcus Armstrong. Can Lucas Di Grassi get into the slipstream and get through as well? Didn't see whether Di Grassi make a move on Armstrong at the moment. He probably didn't do into turn 1. So he'll have to wait back a little bit. And McNish will be closing in as well, as will Susie Wolf. Andrea Lotter isn't too far back either. Not many one-stoppers in this race, but they are still worthy of being looked out or kept an eye on, I should say, if I can get my words out. Jet Aiken continuing on. He's got some clean air at the moment, but he's got Pascal Verline behind him, who's got Kamir Sato all over the back. So this is playing into the hands of the young Brit, who's impressed Ed Spencer since he was drafted in around about midway of last season. Hasn't won in the Grand Prix World Series yet, but could today be the day where the team makes history? They've yet to win in the Grand Prix World Series. Could the drought finally end for Ed Spencer? And there we can see Lucas Di Grassi and Ellen McNish posted up behind Marcus Armstrong, and I think he's going to be a sitting duck on the pit straight here. So Di Grassi gets through. Can the ram of Alan McNish get through at the same time? The answer is no on this occasion. Alan McNish may try and go for the move at the Dunlop chicane, if he's close enough. In fact, he's going up the inside. That's an ambitious move to do it there. And that's cost McNish big time because he's dropped back horribly from the Colony. That was a daft attempt of an overtake, really, to do it there. And now he's dropped back into the clutches of Susie Wolf and co. Now we can see Marcus Ericsson behind Kimi Sato, who's stuck behind Ericsson's teammate Pascal Wehrlein. So they go through the last sector of the lap. This is playing actually into Ericsson's hands here because Wehrlein can hold up the dome up until they get onto the pit straight, where I think Sato is going to get the move done here. So onto the pit straight now they come. So coming onto the pit straight now. It looks like Kimi Sato is ahead. He needs to be careful not to allow Wehrlein too much slipstream to get back through here. I think Wehrlein's going to get back through. He has done. So Kimi Sato wasn't smart enough on that pit straight to maybe wait until turn 1. And now this has given Ericsson an opportunity to close back in. And it's allowing Jack Aiken to pull further clear of the rest in the genuine fight for the race lead here. And Kimi Sato is now in front of Luciano Piquetta because I think Piquetta may be carrying an issue here. We want to be going to Piquetta because he was 1.6 seconds clear of Sato, and he's dropped back quite considerably. Unless he's made a mistake somewhere that I don't know of. Hopefully we'll get an update on that. And there's Sato. I think there's an engine problem for Piquetta. So for the first time in his career, Piquetta is going to fail to finish here. And he's holding up Jack Aiken as he pulls off. So Piquetta's 100% point scoring record comes to an end. He is out of the race in the Carlin. What a shame, because he was running very, very well again. And his teammate Fabio Lima is towards the back. He isn't making that much of an impression, in all honesty. It doesn't look like the Carlin squad are going to be celebrating anything from today. So it's Kimi Sato in the race lead, as we see Marcus Armstrong being overtaken by Andre Lotterer. McNish is already through ahead. Armstrong down to 10th place now. The next driver behind is Tatiana Calderon. And there's Jack Aiken, who lost time being stuck behind Piquetta whilst he was trying to get round him. The two Satos are now first and third. But Kimi Sato has yet to make a pit stop in this race. There's Kimi Sato locking up into the Dunlop chicane. Getting away with it. Closing in on Jack Aiken in the fight for second place. And Marcus Armstrong has been overtaken by Calderon and Wolf on this lap. Is Armstrong carrying a problem in the Colony? If so, it could well spell the end of the day for Gemma Dixon's team. Towards the end of the lap, there's Jack Aiken in P2. Pascal Wehrlein is under threat from the Andrea Moda of Jake Dennis. He's about to get through on the German. Dennis is through, and De Grassi is looking to replicate that kind of overtake next time around, if not do it earlier on in the lap. D'Ambrosio is now ahead of Armstrong. I would think Armstrong may be coming into the pits at the end of this lap, unless the problem is terminal on the Colony. And I think Armstrong's just been struggling on the last lap or so. Calderon, Wolf and D'Ambrosio got through on him on the last lap. So it shouldn't be too long before Armstrong comes into the pits for his only stop. His only hope of a points finish is misfortune of others. There is the von Mattel again. That will be Marcus Ericsson, I believe. As Takuma Sato is coming around to complete his 23rd lap. The Japanese fans will be very pleased to see this Dome have yet to win a race so far in their debut campaign, as Lucas Di Grassi looks to make a move on Pascal Wehrlein, who's yet to stop in this race, remember. And is he ahead before turn 1? He's got his nose in front, but the von Mattel is fighting back. And is the von Mattel going back through? Yes, he is. So Lucas Di Grassi wasn't able to complete the move very well there, unfortunately. And Dan Tixon's making a move also on his compatriot Sam Bird into turn 1, and that move was successful. So that's an overtake done there for the Real driver, who's been competing in Formula E the last couple of seasons. Race winner in Formula 2 as well, Dan Tixon. And Lucas Di Grassi thinking about a move up the inside, but slots back in behind the von Mattel once again. And Pascal Wehrlein will be happy to hold these drivers up, because the more he holds the field up, the better it is for his race in order to scrape a points finish out of it. And there's Sam Bird running in 16th position in between the two Reals. Takuma Sato's lead is now down to 2 seconds, as Jack Aiken is looming in behind now. And Takuma will want to hold up Jack Aiken to help his teammate Kimi Sato close in, as Lucas Di Grassi is coming up alongside the von Mattel. Is this going to be a change in position? Does he do it at the corner this time? Not quite so, and Wehrlein gets back through again. This is costing Di Grassi horribly here. McNish, Lotterer, Calderon and Wolf will be getting in on this, as will Jerome D'Ambrosio. We're at the halfway point in the race now. Takuma Sato having an impressive race in the Dome, as is Kimi Sato. And there's Di Grassi. Not going for the move yet on Wehrlein. You'd have thought he'd have done so at the Dunlop chicane, but backed out of it. And now we see the top two in your picture. Takuma Sato and Jack Aiken coming out of the last turn. Is this going to be a change of lead on this lap, or is Takuma Sato going to go for the pit lane, given that we are now at the halfway point? He's continuing on for now, is Sato. So I don't think Jack Aiken got the move done into turn 1. So on the pit straight they go. We've got quite a queue of cars actually behind Wehrlein, because D'Ambrosio is at the back of all that. And there is Di Grassi, who's just got the move done at last on Wehrlein, but he's locked up into turn 1, and McNish has got through on the pair of them. So Di Grassi got the move done before the corner, made mincemeat of the von Mattel, slotted him in, and McNish was able to take advantage. Now, was that a late manoeuvre in the braking zone there from Di Grassi? He'll probably get away with that, although Wehrlein will not be too pleased with Di Grassi's driving there. Oh, he cuts across on him actually. So Di Grassi may be looked at by the stewards for that reckless overtake on the German. And that could be a time penalty coming his way afterwards. And it is. It's a 10-second time penalty for Lucas Di Grassi. So wherever he ends up, 10 seconds will be added to his time at the end of the race. Here is Kimi Sato closing in on Jack Aiken, who's stuck behind Kimi's teammate Takuma Sato. The roars are beginning to really increase now, because they know that Kimi Sato has been given a chance to close in on the Force India, whilst Takuma Sato is holding him up. Marcus Ericsson closing in as well. He feels that a race win is still on the cards. He just needs to keep his car on the circuit, really. As he's continuing to lock up. As Jack Aiken goes for the lead on Takuma Sato. Doesn't go for it yet. Slots back in. Then goes for it again. And I think the lead is about to be done here, or is it? Up the inside goes the Brit, and that is him through into the race lead. And Takuma Sato's spell at the front has come to an end. Now he just needs to be worried that his teammates coming up behind and will not want to be battling with him. The team are doing their best to recover after a difficult couple of rounds recently. And there's your list of drivers that are out of the race so far. Luciano Piquetta, Gary Paffett, Jaime Alguersuari and Teo Pourchaire. 22 still running, including Brendan Hartley, who is at the back. This has probably been Pacific's worst race of the season so far, despite the car still running. And at least Sergio Sette Camera can get to the end of the race without getting involved in someone else's accident, which is what happened with Sebastian Loeb in Centaur. As you can see, a three-car fight there as Jerome D'Ambrosio makes a lunge up the inside at the Dunlop chicane and gets through on Tatiana Calderon. Brilliant overtake there from the Belgian. He gets through. Going back to what I was saying about Sergio Sette Camera, got taken out by Sebastian Loeb in Zental. He also got taken out. Oh, and that's Takuma Sato moving across there on Kamiya Sato as he went for the pit lane. That was very close to being an enormous accident there involving both of the domes. We're going to see a replay of it now. So he goes for the overtake there. Oh, that's dangerous there from Takuma. That was very dangerous, and that very nearly could have spelt tears there, especially very close to the pit lane as well. Kamiya Sato could have gone flying in the air. We've seen it from his angle. It wasn't as close as what it was on the other angles, but that so nearly could have ended in tears horribly for the Dome team. That wouldn't have gone down too well. Have the stewards made a verdict on that particular incident? Don't think they have at the moment, but there may be something later. I think that maybe because Takuma was heading for the pit lane anyway, and Kamiya Sato just didn't quite read into it. He was more focused on trying to get into the slipstream and get the overtake done. But he's through into second place anyway, is Kamiya. Takuma rejoins outside the top 15. But he has done his last stop, and he can focus on getting back into the points now that he knows that most of the other drivers are due in for their second trips to the pit lane. And there's an engine problem for Dan Titsum, so his first race has ended in retirement. Titsum out of the race in the Real. An oil leak for the Brit. At least he can say that he got through most of this one. But it's the end of the road for him, as Marcus Armstrong has rejoined in last position after his pit stop. And he can just focus on salvaging something positive for this race. And there is Marcus Ericsson in that blue, white and yellow liveried helmet, or design helmet. And there's the MasterCard Lola of Susie Wolf getting through on Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein has yet to stop in this race. And Wolf looks like she's got through ahead of him there. And she's through no problem. There is Kamiya Sato. 1.9 seconds behind Aiken in the battle for the lead. Marcus Ericsson's less than 3 seconds further back in the Fonmetal. Jake Dennis is 4th. Alan Minish is 5th. It's Lucas Di Grassi, Andre Lotterer, Susie Wolf, Pascal Wehrlein and Jerome D'Ambrosio in the top 10. 8 different cars are in the top 8 positions. No, sorry, that's incorrect. 6 different cars are in the top 6 positions because Jake Dennis and Andre Lotterer are part of the Andrea Moda team in 4th and 7th. It's a close battle up front, and there could be more to come in the remainder of this race here in Fuji. See Marcus Ericsson, and the gap between Aiken and Kamiya Sato is now 1.7 seconds. The gap is gradually coming down. And now we can see Jerome D'Ambrosio going for the move. I think that's because Wehrlein had come into the pit lane. Now we'll have a look at that because Verline moved across on the Force India, but that's because he needed to go into the pits anyway. And Ambrosio just didn't quite lean into it, so I don't think any action will be taken on that. There's Ericsson in third place. Verline will drop towards the back of the pack. Alan Manish in 5th place, looking on course to get Ram's first points finish of the season. They've already got the point for pole position thanks to Gary Paffett. Alan Manish really could do with getting some more points for the team. He hasn't scored yet this season. And he ended his drought here today. Callum Islet running in 11th position ahead of Mike Conway, Sam Bird 13th, Alexander Rossi 14th, Takuma Sato is now in 15th position. And we expect him to make his way through the field rather comfortably. It won't be too long before we start seeing the second round of pit stops involving those that are doing the 2 stops. And we're right on board with Pascal Verline, who's in 20th position after his stop behind Brendan Hartley. So 5 drivers out of the race so far. Dan Tixon, the latest casualty from this one. And then we can see Marcus Ericsson running in P3. Continuing to push on. 1.7 seconds is the margin between Jack Aiken in the lead and Kamir Sato in 2nd place. Lucas Di Grassi in 6th position in the sack speed, his teammate Sam Bird in 13th position. Well, Von Mattel looking good to get another podium out of this, but they had hoped for more after Ericsson spun inside. As we see Valentino Rossi lock up, just keeping the car on the island there. So he's able to keep his Duns Defiant on the circuit. His teammate Teo Porcher is already out of the race through suspension failure. As it stands in lead 2, with Von Mattel collecting potentially 15 points, they'll go on to 51. Sack Speed, who have got Lucas Di Grassi running up there in 6th position, they will get 8 points for that, which will move on to 46, so Von Mattel will move in front of them. And Mastercard Lola, who have got 2 cars in 8th and 10th, they'll give them 5 points, they'll go on to 55. And Pacific, who are not looking like they're going to be scoring anything today, they could well be staying in the lead despite not scoring, unless Down can get a big haul of points today. Takuma Sato gets through on Alexander Rossi for 14th position, or does he? Because the LaRousse is trying to fight back here, and he may be able to get back through on the Japanese home hero, and he does. So Sato will need to think about where else he can get the overtake done. Another mention is Force India, because they've got Jack Aiken in the lead and Jerome D'Ambrosio in 9th position. That'll give them 27 points. They'll move in front of LaRousse, they'll move in front of Coloni, and they will move in front of Sack Speed as it stands. So at the moment, it looks like Pacific are still going to be in the lead of the team's championship. Andrea Moda are on course to get 18 points for where they are going to be finishing, as Jack Aiken comes in for his final stop of the race. Kamir Sato goes back into the lead for a lap at least. So we'll come away from the championship permutations at the moment, because we are seeing pit stops being done now and positions changing left, right and centre. Alan Manish also coming in, as is Andre Lotterer. Should be seeing a few more coming in as well, unless it's just those 3 on this lap. There's Jake Dennis continuing on in 3rd place. It looks like Jack Aiken is going to rejoin behind Takuma Sato now. Takuma Sato is only just pitted for his last stop. He's going to have his hands full with Jack Aiken in a moment. So I think if Jack Aiken's going to win this race, he's got to pass Takuma Sato on circuit. And it hasn't been too long before Sato had pitted. So we should see some more pit stops at the end of this lap. Kimi Sato, Marcus Ericsson, Jake Dennis are all due to come in. Lucas Di Grassi as well. Susie Wolf, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Tatiana Calderon, Callum Milot, Mike Conway I think as well. Sam Bird likewise. So once the two stoppers start to come in, Takuma Sato will be in the lead of this race. But for how long? Well, Marcus Ericsson is in now. He's got to hope he doesn't get held up in the pits. And Jerome D'Ambrosio also coming in. Tatiana Calderon likewise. And now Alexander Rossi about to be overtaken by Takuma Sato as they go down the pit straight together again. And I don't think Rossi's going to get back through this time. So Takuma Sato is through at last. But he's lost time being stuck behind the LaRousse. The next man ahead of him is Sam Bird, who's another couple of seconds up the road. Brendan Hartley also coming in from 17th position. And there's Kimi Sato continuing on. He's due in for his last stop. There's a car ahead of him who is about to be lapped, but I think Sato will be due in either at the end of this lap or the next one. Lucas Di Grassi running in P3. As Jake Dennis comes in from P2. So Di Grassi stays out for now. And I think we are seeing a car coming into the pits as well. That will be Mike Conway in the Real. Or was that Kyler Milot? I think that might have been Ilott coming in. No, Conway is in as well. So Takuma Sato goes up into 5th place on track. Alexander Rossi in 6th place still at the moment, ahead of Jack Aiken. Who hasn't been able to get through ahead of him, but now he is so. So he can go after Takuma Sato. So it's vitally important that Takuma Sato gets in front of Sam Bird now. Susie Wolf running in P3. She scored points on her return to the Grand Prix World Series. With an 8th place finish in Zental. She's never finished on the podium before though, as Susie. The Moscow Lola have had a really positive start to the season. They could get even better today with Kimi Sato coming in for his last stop now. Lucas Di Grassi doing the same. And I think Susie Wolf is doing also, which could see Sam Bird take the lead of the race unless he's ducking into the pits at the same time. And now we can see Jack Aiken right on the tail of the dome as they come onto the pit straight. Sam Bird stays out, and Jack Aiken looks as though he may well be taking the position away from Takuma Sato, effectively the race lead. He's waiting until the last moment as the dome of Kimi Sato comes out, and he's actually in front of both of them. Kimi Sato has got the job done on both his teammate and Jack Aiken. Kimi Sato takes the lead then of the Fuji Grand Prix in Lead 2. And now he's got to get past Sam Bird, and then that's him done. Bird, I think, will be in the pits in due course, unless he may be one of the one-stoppers from memory. Now, is he going to get the move done into the Dunlop chicane? The answer is no. So he sits back. Marcus Ericsson is getting involved in this now. He's not too far behind this bunch. So he could well have a 4-way fight for the lead once all the stops are completed. There's Sunbird holding up Takumi Sato now as they come through the last turn. He's coming through there. Does Sunbird know he's there? He does. Oh, he just ducks into the pits in time there. He waited back a little bit to Sunbird, and thankfully he was very cautious with the dome alongside, and so he got through the gap and gone into the pit lane safely. So it's now a dome 1 and 2. How long will it remain that way? Susie Wolf battles it out with Pascal Wehrlein, who's making the move up the inside of her into turn 1, and 9th position goes in the way of the German. And there's Jack Aiken running in P3. Can he get past Takuma? Maybe able to do it into the Dunlop chicane. And I think he's going to make the move here is Jack Aiken. He'll have the high ground on the exit of the chicane. Is he through at last? Yes, he is! And Jack Aiken goes up into second place in the Force India. Excellent overtake from the Brit. A very important overtake there. And Sato is down to third with Marcus Ericsson for company. I don't think it'll be too long before Alan McNish gets in on the act as well. You can see further back in the ramp. So Takumi Sato completing his 37th lap. 13 to go here in Fuji. And setting a new fastest up of the race as well, just to further cement his position in getting that point. We were just looking at Marcus Ericsson making a move up the inside of Takumi Sato into turn 1. And that is him through as well in the Fonmetal. That was an important overtake, and he didn't waste too much time. And Wehrlein has just been overtaken by Susie Wolf again, with Lucas Di Grassi and Calderon fancying their chances of getting through ahead of him at the same time also. With Dome on course for 1st and 4th as it stands, they've got the point for the fastest lap as well to take into consideration. They'll be collecting 38 points in this race. So as it stands, they'll move into the lead on 69 points. 10 clear of second place Pacific. So from 5th to the lead in the team's championship. That's how quickly it can change sometimes in this championship. And as we see Lucas Di Grassi getting through on Pascal Wehrlein at the Dunlop chicane, and he's gone up into 10th position. And there is Ericsson closing in on Aiken in the battle for P2. Another lap done. 4.5 seconds is the gap between Takumi Sato in the lead and Jack Aiken in second. Then it's Marcus Ericsson, Takumi Sato, Alan McNish. As we see the MasterCard Layla of Tatiana Calderon getting through on Pascal Wehrlein this time. This is for P11. And Di Grassi, or Wehrlein I should say, doesn't fight back. Well, the battle for second place is hot enough, as is the battle for 4th, because McNish is closing in slowly but surely on Takumi Sato in the dome. As we watch Brendan Hartley make a move on Valentino Rossi by the looks of it. No, that's actually Fabio Lyman, my apologies, that's the Carlin. He's getting through. Up into 20th position goes Hartley. Next driver ahead of him is his teammate Sergio Sette Camera. So the Force India and the Fonmetal coming through. The last corner. And Ericsson won't be close enough to have a go, but I'd say one driver who will be close enough to have a go, and that's Alan McNish, who will be right into the slipstream of Takumi Sato as Susie Wolf locks up into the last corner. I want to see if McNish is close enough to Takuma. I think he is. And that's something we want to be seeing. The race broadcaster is not showing us it. And McNish is through on Takuma. So Alan McNish is through ahead of Takumi Sato, up into 4th position now. That's another couple of points gone there for the Dome team. Next driver behind Takuma is Jake Dennis in the Andrea Moda. And we see an overtake into turn 1 from Callum Eilert on Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein losing another place. I think he'll want this race to be over sooner rather than later, to be honest with you. He's not had the best of days as Pascal. Aiken locking up into the Dunlop chicane and getting away with it. Jerome D'Ambrosio is in 8th position, so 2 Forsen is looking good for a good haul of points at the moment. Susie Wolf in 9th place, Lucas Degrassi in 10th, Tatiana Calderon just outside the points in 11th. And then we can see Sato continuing on up ahead with 10 laps to go. His lead is now 6.4 seconds over Aiken. Could well be more than that once Aiken crosses over the line, 6.6. And we see Jake Dennis pulling off an overtake on the dome of Takuma Sato. And he's through and up to 5th place. Andre Lutterer is the next driver behind Takuma. Takuma is really struggling at the moment. Was in the lead earlier on. It looks like his one-stop strategy hasn't quite paid off this time. And there's Degrassi. Running a little too deep there into turn 3. But no harm done. We've started down to 6th place now. Dome will be collecting 34 points, which will put them onto 65 as it stands. You can see the Dome, your race leader, now 7 seconds clear of 2nd place Jack Aiken. 9 to go. Only 5 drivers out of the race so far. They are Dan Tickton, Luciano Bicetta, also lost Teo Porcher, Jaime Alguersuari, and Gary Paffett, who was on pole at the beginning of today. Didn't get off to the best of starts, and then engine problems had sidelined him. It's a shame because he was going very well and looked like he was going to get a car in the points along with Alan McNish, who's on course to get a brilliant 4th place finish out of this. Much needed boost for the Ram team. And if they collect 12 points in this race, they'll move up ahead of Riel, ahead of Dams Vion, ahead of Carlin. So we'll move up a few positions into 10th place, unless anything changes. And there he's Kamiya Sato coming around the last corner. Dome haven't won in the Grand Prix World Series yet. This is only their 4th entry. One of the 4 debutant teams in the Grand Prix World Series this season. The others being Dams Vion, Carlin and Ram Racing. Ericsson in P3. Keeping in touch with Aiken, with McNish, Dennis, Takuma Sato, and Andre Lotto is now a second behind the Japanese driver. I don't think it'll be too long before we see him complete an overtake. And if so, that'll be another couple of points down the drain for Takuma and for Dome. So it's looking good for the Japanese team on home turf and from a Japanese driver as well. How brilliant it will be for their team manager David Yuntz. As Brendan Hartley gets through on his teammate into turn 1. And he goes up a position. Not that it means anything, but if both cars can get to the end of the race, that'll be prize money for Kevin McMullen to use for when the next upgrade window opens, which will be after round 6. which is in Istanbul. Andre Lotter is now under, is right behind Takuma Sato. I don't know how close he is behind because of where the sector times are placed. It should be within range to have a go. Here we go, Lotterer up the inside of Takuma Sato into turn 1, and he's got through into 6th position. So we've got 2 Andrea Modas in the top 6 now. Jake Dennis in 5th and Andre Lotterer in 6th. Sato down to 7th. Jerome D'Ambrosio will be fancying his chances. He's got 7 laps to catch up to him. There is Aiken in P2. You probably know that the victory is long gone now, with Kamir Sato shooting further and further up the road. Second place will most certainly do for him and for Ed Spencer. As far as the Drivers' Championship is concerned in League 2, before the race had started, Brendan Hartley was the leader. Calderon will not go ahead of him because she's not in the points. Lucas Di Grassi is in the points, albeit in 10th place, but he's not going to do enough to get ahead. Marcus Ericsson, who's on course for 3rd place, and that's an engine failure for Brendan Hartley in the Pacific. So, a wretched race is going to end in retirement. Only half a dozen laps before the end. So Brendan Hartley is out, and I don't think he'll be completing enough laps to get a classified finish, and therefore that will be less prize money for Kevin McMullen to use. So Brendan Hartley is out of the race. That's his first retirement of the season as well. And that just puts the kibosh on it for Brendan Hartley. An oil leak for him. So he's the 6th driver to retire from the race. Let's go back to what I was saying about Marcus Ericsson, because he's on course to get 15 points. He'll go in front of Lucas Di Grassi. Kamir Sato is on course to get the 25 and the point for the fastest lap. He'll go on to 39 points. He'll go in front of Lucas Di Grassi. So he'll move up into, at the moment, into 4th position. So Brendan Hartley will in fact stay in the championship lead. And the gap will actually still be the same because Calderon is not currently in the points. And Calderon was in 2nd place in the championship and still is at the moment. We're now 5 laps in the end now. Kamir Sato's lead is nearly 9 seconds. And Jerome D'Ambrosio is less than 3 seconds off Takuma Sato in the battle for 7th position. Could well see a change towards the end in that reckoning. Dome will take the lead of the championship in the team standings by 2 points, unless Takuma Sato drops further down the order. And if it does drop down 1 more position, they'll be tied on points with Pacific, because Dome at the moment 25 for the win, 6 for 7 plus 1 for the fastest lap. They'll move on to they'll be on 63 points in fact. Will Dome. So I think if Sato was to drop down another couple of positions, they would end up tying on points. If they end up tying on points, they will still, in fact, be in the lead because they'll have achieved more 4th places than Pacific. They may be tied on a 1st and a 2nd each, but Dome have picked up a 4th place more than Pacific, who have had 2 6th place finishes as well as 2 DNFs. And there is the battle for 13th position between Pascal Verlaine and Mike Conway. But Kamir Sato bridging further clear, about to make history, become the first Japanese driver to win a race in the Grand Prix World Series, I think, from memory. In fact, no, Kamui Kobayashi has won already in the Grand Prix World Series, as we see a battle between Verlaine and Conway. Kamui Kobayashi won, I think it was in Kyalami last season, did so for Arrows. as well as doing winning in Taupo. No, it wasn't in Kyalami that Kobayashi won. It was just in Taupo that he had won. Marino Sato won also at Imola in League 2 for life. So, in actual fact, Kimiya Sato will be the third Japanese driver to win a Grand Prix World Series race. Now is Jack Aiken, who's now 10 seconds off the lead with 3 laps left. But he's over a second clear of Marcus Ericsson. Doesn't look like he's going to challenge. I think it looks pretty much sewn up in the top 6. It's just whether Jerome D'Ambrosio will be close enough to get moved on onto Kimiya Sato in the final laps. As we see Conway go for it again on Furline. Into turn 1, he gets the move done before the corner, but is Verline going to fight back? Yes, he is. And Verline is back through again. I think Ericsson locked up into the left-hander there of the hairpin. Got away with it. He'll be satisfied with his performance though at Marcus Ericsson, who showed a touch of class in Sentinel to come away with the victory. Verline, unfortunately, is not going to get anything from this. But Uringo will nevertheless be happy with the performance as Mike Conway gets through on Pascal Verline at last, this time into the Dunlop chicane, and that should be that. And Sam Bird is too far back to challenge. Looks like 15th position is where he's going to end up finishing. 2 laps remaining then. And is Jerome D'Ambrosio close enough to get through as Marcus Armstrong locks up. And he's got Alexander Rossi looming behind in the battle for 16th position. And I think we're going to see a change in position between these two, albeit for pride at least anyway. Marcus Armstrong, who is coming for the suspended Christian Lundgaard, is going to drop back a position at the expense of Alexander Rossi. And Valentino Rossi hasn't done too bad of a job today in 18th position compared to how he'd been in the opening few rounds. Ahead of Sergio Sette Camara and Fabio Lima on merit. As we see a move from Susie Wolf. Well, it looks like a move from that angle, but it wasn't actually a change in position. Say that Jerome D'Ambrosio is now 0.3 of a second behind Takuma Sato in Sector 2. As the race leader, Kimiya Sato, has started the final lap of the race here in Fuji. And the Dome team are going to be on the pit wall ready to congratulate their man. The fans will be standing up to congratulate their home hero as we see Jerome D'Ambrosio make a move on Takuma Sato for P7. And I think this is going to be a change of position into turn 1, is it? No, he doesn't get the move done. Not close enough. Perhaps he wasn't close enough in the slipstream, and that Dome perhaps has had great straight line speed throughout the whole race, even on worn tyres. Calderon isn't going to get any points today by the looks of it. Jack Aiken most certainly is doing so in second place. But we want to go to the race leader of Kimiya Sato. There he is in your picture. The home fans are going to see something that they never thought would see happening in the Grand Prix World Series. And Kimiya Sato is about to bring tears of joy to those fans, to his team, to his family, and of course to himself. Kimiya Sato on home turf is going to take the checkered flag to win the League 2 Fuji Grand Prix. There he's in sight. The fans go wild. He has done it. Kimiya Sato can call himself a race winner. Dome can call themselves race winners in the Grand Prix World Series. And what better place to do it on home turf in Japan in Fuji. Jack Aiken in second place for Force India. They will be delighted with that. Marcus Ericsson on the podium again in 3rd place. Alan McNish gets his first points of the season for Ram in 4th place. The two Andrea Modas of Jake Dennis and Andre Lotterer in 5th and 6th. Takuma Sato comes home in 7th place for Dome. They now take the lead of the team's championship. Jerome D'Ambrosio in 8th for Force India. Susie Wolf in the points again in 9th place. Lucas Di Grassi getting the last point in 10th. Tatiana Calderon in 11th place for MasterCard Lola. No points for her, unfortunately, this time. Caroline at 12th. Mike Conway 13th. Pascal Verline in a disappointing 14th position. Sam Bird will be in 15th place. And then we're just waiting for the last cars to cross over line, all of which on the lead lap. Sergio Sete Camera in 19th, and the last driver to finish will be Fabio Lima. But there is your race winner. It is Kamiya Sato for Dome on home turf. Running down the result, Jack Aiken coming in 2nd place, though it's Marcus Ericsson 3rd, Alan McNish in 4th, Jake Dennis in 5th, Andre Lotterer in 6th, then it's Takuma Sato, Jerome D'Ambrosio in 8th, Susie Wolf 9th, and Tatiana Calderon in 10th place after Lucas Di Grassi picks up a time penalty for a collision with Pascal Verline early on in the race. He drops to 13th behind Callum Myler and Mike Conway. Pascal Verline in 14th position, followed by Sam Bird and Alexander Rossi. Marcus Armstrong, Valentina Rossi, Sergio Sete Camera and Fabio Lima were the rest of the finishers. Brendan Hartley retired, as did Sixtham, Luciano Bicchetta, Gary Paffett on debut, retiring after being on pole. Jaime Alguersuari and Teo Boscher also retired with suspension problems. The fast set point goes to Kamiya Sato, and for the Dome team, the pole position point, as I've already mentioned, went to Gary Paffett for Ram. What a race! And I cannot think to my head what a result that is. What a brilliant result that is for the Dome team and for David Young, for the Japanese team on home turf, and for their driver Kamiya Sato, who will be in tears after that to see his fans watch him take the checker flag in 1st place for his debut win in the Grand Prix World Series.
Well, another excellent race in the Grand Prix World Series, and this time won by the Japanese driver Kamiya Sato. That is our 7th different winner in 7 different races this season in the Grand Prix World Series. Fascinating competition here so far. Could we potentially get an 8th in our League One race today? We'll have to wait and see, but first of all, let's go through the driver standings after that round. Brendan Hartley holds on to the lead despite not scoring today, 51 points still for the Kiwi driver. Tatiana Calderon now only 2 points ahead of Marcus Ericsson, who finished on the podium today. And Kamiya Sato, his victory in front of his adoring home fans, brings him up to 4th in the standings on 39 points, only 12 off the lead of Brendan Hartley as it stands. Jack Aitken, 2nd place, takes him up to 5th ahead of Lucas Di Grassi, not scoring today, another disappointing result for the Brazilian. Andre Lotterer 7th on 26th ahead of Takuma Sato, 2 Japanese drivers in the top 8. Alexander Rossi and Jaime Alguersuari also in the top 10 here. And looking to the teams, Dome with that result today move into the lead on 63 points, 4 ahead of Pacific and a further 6 ahead of MasterCard Lola. Fomitel 4th ahead of Force India. Zach Speed 6 on 38 ahead of Andrea Moda, Scuderia Coloni, LaRousse and Ram Racing. They are now on the board, having been the only team prior to this event to not have any points on the board. That's changed today after pole position for Gary Paffett and a 4th place finish for Alan McNish. Fantastic racing here today. Looking on now to League One, and it is Helio Castro Neves in the Leighton House who leads the way on 37 points, 8 ahead of Scott Dixon in the Syntec, who is a further 1 ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa in the Minardi on 28 points. Sebastian Buemi in the Leighton House on 25 ahead of Paul Di Resta, also on 25. Buemi ahead on countback virtue of his Grand Prix victory. Stoffel Van Dorn 6th in the Syntec ahead of Will Power in a Leighton House, who also sits out this round. He's still on a 2-race ban, the second of which being served today. Pato Ward 1 point ahead of his Arrows teammate Danny Junkendale for 8th and 9th. And Roman Grosjean rounds out the top 10 on 12 points. As for the team standings, it is Leighton House who leads the way on 80. 30 points already ahead of Syntec. Quite a big gap for Leighton House, having taken a 1-2 victory last time out in Sentinel. Minardi are on 46, ahead of Super Aguri on 37. Super Aguri yet to win a race this season, but consistent scoring keeping them at the sharp end of the standings. Arrows are on 31, Onyx on 19, BAR on 13, Mana on 12, and then Prost and HRT sharing 6 points each heading into this round. And just one driver change to bring you today, as Nicholas Latifi was handed a race ban at the last round in Sentul for taking out the AGS of Alex Palou. He has been replaced by Antonio Giovinazzi for this round. The Italian will be keen to make an immediate impression upon team manager Will Knight and effectively audition for a seat for the rest of the season. How is the Italian going to go today? Well, as far as the grid is concerned, Italy is on pole position, but in the form of Minardi. Nick de Vries, the Dutchman, has put it onto pole ahead of Pato O'Ward and Danny Juncadella, the two Arrows drivers having a fantastic qualifying session, but both of them 3/10 off the pace of Nick de Vries. That's ominous for the race here today. Romain Grosjean, 4th in the manor, ahead of Scott Dixon, our reigning champion, in 5th. Antonio Felix da Costa puts both Minardis into the top 6, ahead of Colton Herta, Kamui Kobayashi, Sebastian Bourdais, and our championship leader Helio Castroneves lines up 10th in the Leighton house. It will be 11th place on the grid for our debutant Antonio Giovinazzi in the BAR, ahead of Sebastian Buemi, who won the last race in Sentul, 6/10 away. That's not what he would have wanted coming into his second bite of the cherry today. Kazuki Nakajima 13th for Onyx, ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn, Robin Freins and Paul di Resta, two Super Guris, lapping just under a second off the pace. Artem Markelov 17th in the Prost, ahead of Alex Palou, Sean Gelael and Alex Lynn rounding out the top 20. And nearer the back of the grid, Adrian Sutil in the HRT 21st, ahead of Marco Wittmann in the Prost. And then the two Midlands in the form of Juan Manuel Correa and Marino Sato, the latter taking a grid penalty for this race, as well as the 240 Corsis of Mahavir Raghunathan and Roy Nissani, 3 back of grid penalties from the last race. Will any more be applied today? Well, there's only one way to find out. Tom Cairns, take it away.
Here we go then for the League 1 race in Fuji. De Vries on pole for the first time with O'Ward alongside with Juncadella next behind, 2 Arrows behind the Minardi. We'll wait for the 5 red lights to appear. When they go out, we'll begin racing here at the Fuji Speedway near Mount Fuji in Japan. 5 red lights are on. Lights out, and away we go. De Vries gets off the line okay. We want to look out for the manner of Romain Grosjean is coming through up from 4th place. It looks like he's in front of Danny Juncadella. Is he in front of Ward and Nick de Vries into turn 1? It looks like he is. Romain Grosjean takes the lead in the manner ahead of the Minardi of Nick de Vries. It's Pato Ward in 3rd place. There's Kamui Kobayashi in the 2nd manner in 4th position as the drivers are almost in gridlock mode, particularly the 240s of Roy Nissani and Mahavir Raghunathan, who started in the race from the back of the grid after penalties they received following incidents that they were involved in the last race. And it looks like a rear wing gone for one of the Onyxes. That looks like Kazuki Nakajima, the home hero, is making his way back into the pit lane with no rear wing to his wagon. So, after what we saw from Kamiya Sato in lead 2, it's a total contrast to how Kazuki Nakajima's race has gone already. And it looks like a collision there involving Da Costa and the Leighton house there. Now, is that Castroneves or is that Sebastian Buemi? I think it's Castroneves who's been hit by the Minardi of Antonio Felix da Costa. Yeah, rear wing gone there from the Leighton house, and I think da Costa may find himself in a little bit of trouble by the stewards for the contact. And we see Van Don locking up there, doing his best to avoid all the carnage that is happening. And it's a 30-second time penalty for Antonio Felix da Costa and a back of the grid penalty for the next race in Kyalami. So whilst things may be running fairly smoothly for Nick de Vries at the front, isn't quite so, and there's like a nudge there from one of the Prosts at the back of Van Dorn. I don't think that shouldn't really be given as a penalty, I don't think, for that, because it wasn't anything like what Da Costa had done to Castroneves. So Castroneves will be in the pits at the end of lap 1, as will Kazuki Nakajima. Romain Grosjean coming round to complete the first lap in the race lead then. Nick de Vries 2nd, Pato O'Ward 3rd, Kamui Kobayashi in 4th place, Scott Dixon 5th, Danny Juncadella in 6th, Colton Herta in the AGS in 7th, it's Paul di Resta in 8th, Antonio Felix da Costa in 9th, and Sebastian Bourdais in 10th position. We are seeing changes further down the field. Sean Gelael moving in front of Artem Markelov. Antonio Giovinazzi in P11 on his Grand Prix World Series debut. The man who raced for Alfa Romeo for a few years in Formula 1. He did a couple of races as well for their predecessors Sauber in 2017 in Australia and China. He's making his debut in the Grand Prix World Series. He's substituting for the suspended Nicholas Latifi after Latifi was found guilty for the contact he had with Alex Palou in Zental. There's Patrick Ward in third place. Kobayashi behind in fourth position as Yunkin Daya gets through on Dixon for P5. And Boemi moving in front of Markelov now for P12. And I think Markelov may be dropping back actually. Galeo's in 13th position ahead of him. And looks like there may have been an overtake actually into the Dunlop chicane. Nisani locking up there. And that allowed Gunnarsson to take advantage. But what a start for the Manor team. First and fourth. Roman Grosjean, who's already won in the Grand Prix World Series before. We have to go to the back end of last season in Laguna Seca to see him win. To end Manor's season on a high that day. And as far as the team's championship in League 2 is concerned, they picked up their first points of the season in Zental, putting them on 12 points in 8th position. There's Arthur Markle lucky enough and going too deep into turn 1. Remaining in front of Sean Galeo for the time being. Anyway, as he went for the move into turn 1, but just braked a bit too deep there, locked up, but somehow stayed in front of the Indonesian. Now, if Manor can get a good haul of points today, they would go in front of BAR and Onyx and possibly Super Aguri if they're lucky. Long way to go yet in this race though. Now, despite Casneves and Nakajima coming in for new rear wings at the end of the opening lap, no one has dropped out so far, which is good to see. What I will say is that Antonio Felix da Costa will have a 30-second time penalty applied to his time at the end of the race for the collision with Casneves, and that's Galeo being hit by Stoffel van Dorn in exactly the same manner as how Casneves lost his rear wing after Antonio Felix da Costa ran into the back of him. There's Van Dorn. Now, you could argue that Galeo moved in the braking zone, but Van Dorn just came too close there and just ran into the rear of the BAR. Now, I wonder what the stewards will say on that one. And he's going to get exactly the same penalty as da Costa. So 30 seconds will be added to his time at the end of the race for the Belgian. Not a good start, again, for team manager Scott Woodwis. So we see the manner of Roman Grosjean continuing to lead. The gap is 1.8 seconds. Sebastian Bourdais in front of Antonio Giovinazzi. Onyx having another off day so far. They're running in 6th position in the team's standings as Patrick Ward continues on in 3rd place. He's the only driver in League 1 to have scored points in every round so far this season. Eighth in the standings on 16 points. And Casneves, well, as it stands with the positions as they are, I think he would actually lose the lead in the championship to Scott Dixon, because although the two would tie, Scott Dixon has a race win to his belt, whereas Casneves doesn't. And as for da Costa, well, he'll be going back 30 seconds at the end of the race. There's a long way to go yet, as I've already mentioned. Artem Markelov there, running in 13th position. Marco Wittmann is further down the order. Not sure exactly which position he's in, but he's outside the top 15 anyway. It's Pato Award in 3rd place, behind Nick de Vries. Giovinazzi locking up into turn 1 again, and behind him is the race winner in Zental, Sebastian Buemi. And Buemi thinking about a move into turn 3, but he can't do it there. And it's not the best place to make an overtake there anyway. Best place to do it is either at the Dunlop chicane or down at turn 1. Grosjean continuing on, 2.4 seconds clear. looking rapid as we speak. Although we don't know for certain which drivers are doing the one-stops, or doing the one-stop, and others doing the two. Answers on a postcard. Well, Colton Hertz is doing a terrific job in the AGS so far, running up there in P7 behind the Spaniard, Danny Juncadella. As Pato O'Ward continues on third place, there's Alex Lynn, who's not had too much to smile about so far this season. Picked up a 7th place finish in Malaysia, which was a good effort, but 2 non-finishes. One for the concept with Will Power, which saw Power suspended for the next 2 races because of another collision he also was involved in with Scott Dixon. Alex Lynn failed to finish thanks to a loose wheel in Sentinel. So HRC in need of some points this time around. They go into this race in 10th position on 6 points. So they're only ahead of those in the drop zone on countback. Another reminder that the bottom 3 teams in League 1 at the end of the season will be relegated to League 2. And those teams occupying the places are 40, Midland and AGS. Paul Di Resta in the Super Aguri, being overtaken by Antonio Giovinazzi now. Both Super Aguris are now outside the points. Robin Fiennes is further behind in... Well, he's outside the top 15 at the moment, so we don't know for certain which exact position he's in. But it's been another low-key race so far for Michael Gillespie's Super Aguri squad. It's their home race as well. I doubt that they're going to be replicating what Dome had done earlier in the League 2 event and come away with the victory. Grosjean's lead is now over 3 seconds on Nick de Vries. Sebastian Buemi could well be the next driver to send Paul Di Resta down the order. Pato O'Ward in 3rd position. Nick de Vries in P2 just ahead. Kumari Kobayashi, the highest of the home heroes, in 4th. Perhaps he can salvage a victory for the Mana team and complete a memorable day for the Japanese fans. It's not a Japanese team he's racing for, of course. I'm sure, nevertheless, he'll be happy to come away with a positive result. Even a podium would do for him. Antonio Giovinazzi thinking about a move on Antonio Felix da Costa. No move there just yet. Now the driver who was on pole position, that'll be Nick de Vries. That's an automatic 1 point going in the way of him. Now Minardi, who went into this race 3rd in the standings. Leighton House are running away with it at the moment by 30 points over Simtech. As it stands, Buemi is in 11th position outside the points, and Castroneves is right at the back in 25th. You can see De Vries continuing on. As Nakajima he locks up into the Dunlop chicane, but no harm done. The man ahead of him is Helio Castroneves. Now Onyx's best result this season has been 5th in Malaysia, which Nakajima was able to collect. And they also had a 6th place finish in Sentinel. As Giovinazzi continues to tussle with Antonio Felix da Costa. The Italian can't find a way through just yet. And you can see the orange arrows of Pato O'Ward, the Mexican, thinking about a move on the Minardi, but he won't be close enough just yet to make a lunge. Bourdais is now in front of Hertha, for your information. He's in P7. And we see Giovinazzi making a move on the Minardi. And is that hitting through into 9th position? I think it is. He even thought about getting through on Herter at the same time. So Giovinazzi putting his BAR up into 9th place now. There's the drivers in 2nd and 3rd places respectively. Kobayashi in 4th position as well. Dixon 5th. Jungadea, Bourdais, Herter, Giovinazzi and Da Costa in the top 10. We'll remind you that Da Costa and Van Dorn will be given 30-second time penalties and back at the grid drops for the next round in Kyle Army for the collisions they've caused on the opening lap. And Herter's lost another position to Antonio Giovinazzi. So he's beginning to struggle, this Colton. And coming towards the end of lap 8, well, we've just done lap 8 now. Grosjean's lead is over 4 seconds on Nick de Vries. Well, it was the end of lap 9, I should say, we've just done. The finish line is not actually until further down the straight. Here is Buemi getting past Da Costa, and that is him through into 10th position. Herter's up ahead in the AGS. AGS with the 1 point so far this season, which Herter had achieved in Zenzel last time out. His teammate Alex Palou isn't making that much of an impression at the moment. He's outside the top 15. And now we can see Buemi line up a pass on Herter into the Dunlop chicane. And the race winner of Zenzel is up into P9 now. So Leighton House are beginning to fight back, with Buemi doing the job at the moment. Castroneves at the back in 25th. You see Roy Nissany coming through. And I can say that Castroneves is actually in front of Sean Galeo, actually. He's in 24th because Galeo had to come into the pit lane for a new rear wing after contact with Stoffel van Dorn. And there's an entry problem. That is the BAR of Antonio Giovinazzi. So Giovinazzi's Grand Prix World Series debut is going to end in retirement. And Will Knight will not be happy with this. Really in need of some results at the moment. Giovinazzi's debut is going to end on the grass. And that is the first retirement of the race. So he should be pulling off now, and he is. So that is one less car for Will Knight to focus on in this one. The other one is down at the back, which will be now 24th once Galeo goes through. And there is Giovinazzi being pulled away, and it's an engine problem for the BAR pilot. Back at the front, Pato Award in 3rd position, Nick de Vries in P2 still. Over 5 seconds behind Romain Grosjean, who's continuing to dominate up front. Now, Grosjean raced for 2 different teams last season. For Pacific and for Manor towards the end of the season. So could he be on course for win number 3 of his career. So you can see a battle going on further back. Marco Wittmann, for your information, is up into 15th position, so we've got both Prosts in the top 15 at the present moment. And there is Wittmann ahead of Robin Freins, who's in 16th. Nakajima running wide, locking up again. Having a lonely race there in 25th and last place. Now, Manor have already won before with Brendan Hartley in Season 1. He won on 3 occasions. They hadn't won until the last round of the season in Laguna Seca. So if they were to come away with a victory today, it'll be their 5th in the team's history, and of course the 5th in the Grand Prix World Series managerial career of Sam Hull. Alex Palou in the AGS is running in 22nd position. He's over 12 seconds clear of Castroneves. As we watch his teammate Sebastian Buemi line up a pass on Danny Juncadella on the pit straight, who had previously been overtaken by Sebastian Bourdais some time ago. And it looks like Buemi is in front of Juncadella, and that puts his late hours up into P7. Impressing Chris Cavani at the moment. Willpower is due to be back for the next race in Kyalami after his suspension is served. And I can imagine the team managers will probably want Sebastian Buemi's services because of the job he has done in place of Willpower, unless Chris Cavani, via his accord, decides to put Buemi in the car for the foreseeable future or for the next rounds. Strong lineup within the Leighton House squad for sure, nevertheless. Grosjean coming round to complete his 13th lap. I just wonder, with the pace he's setting, is he on a 2-stop strategy? I haven't had a look on his steering wheel to see if it is the case or not. We're seeing a pit stop now, and it is to do with Pato O'Ward. So Pato O'Ward coming into the pits from 3rd place in the Arrows. Now, who else is going to be heading for the pit lane at the end of that 13? Well, I can say that Sebastian Buemi is also coming in. And Alex Lynn also heading for the pits. So 3 drivers in. And Correa's in the pits, and I think Wittmann is also. And Raghunathan at the same time. So a lot of pit lane activity at the moment. Castroneves may be able to move up the order thanks to those coming in. I don't know how soon he is due to come in though for his first scheduled stop. So Grosjean in the lead, De Vries second, Kobayashi now 3rd. As Galeo comes in for his first scheduled stop. As Adrian Sutil is under threat from Marino Sato, who served the back of the grid penalty for contact he made last time out in Zental. Correa, who's just pitted. And Grosjean's in the pits from the race lead, actually. That hands lead over to Nick De Vries now in the Minardi. Bourdais in the Onyx. Paul de Resta, Artem Markelov, Stoffel Van Dorn also heading for the pit lane. And Grosjean will hope that he doesn't get stuck in the box, given how busy the pit lane is. As we can see, that looks like Pato O'Ward is making a move. And he's going to get in front of the AGS, by the looks of it. And Grosjean is out in front of O'Ward, so O'Ward is still behind Grosjean, as expected anyway, because he was quite some way behind Grosjean before the pit stops had begun. Castroneves coming in for his first scheduled stop. Doesn't look like he's going to get a good haul of points from this race, unless he can plough his way through the field and hope for drivers dropping out ahead of him. Just the one retirement so far in this race. Antonio Giovinazzi pulling off with an engine failure. There we can see that looked like Scott Dixon. If ever I know, it might have been Kobayashi actually. He's staying in touch with De Vries. Now, who's going to pit in at the end of this lap? I can tell you Kobayashi is in from P2. Are we seeing any more pit lane activity from any of those behind? Oh, it looks like Robin Fines maybe heading for the pits in the Super Aguri. So that'll allow O'Ward to go through. won't be too long before O'Ward closes in on Grosjean, although Grosjean did pit in a lap after O'Ward. And now we can see Stoffel Van Dorn. I think he was just dodging around a few cars actually. We're going for the pit lane, and that was very nearly contact there between that looked like the Prost and one of the... Is that the HRT that was coming into the pit lane? I wasn't 100% sure. If it was, it would have been Adrian Sutil. Well, Paul di Resta is in, so it might have been him that he nearly came together with. Here's Van Dorn carrying a penalty over him and a back of the grid penalty for Kyle Lamy. He's not able to make a move on Alex Lynn just yet. Sebastian Bourdais is further up the road. And now we can see a move being done by Stoffel Van Dorn to go through. As well as the 40 making a move. That's Mahavira Gunnathan getting through on... I think that's Robin Frines who's just getting past. Now the 40 of Ryan Nissany is behind the Midland. And I think Paul di Resta may have made a second pit stop in this one, either due to electrical problems or something else, I don't know. Markov running in 14th position, line up a move on Alex Lynn. And so the Formula 2 runner-up of 2017 gets through no problem, and up to 13th position he goes. Nick de Vries in the race lead. Does not come in this lap. I wonder, he may well be on the one stop. Now, Sean Galeo has already been lapped. Paul di Resta has already been lapped. Hello, Castroneves is further up the road, who has not been lapped yet. You can see the arrows of Danny Yunkandaya in P3. Yusuke Nakajima running in P20. Now, Onyx haven't won in the Grand Prix World Series since Buenos Aires last season. Sebastian Bourdais taking victory there. Danny Yunkandaya, who raced for Minardi at the back end of last season, racing for Arrows full-time this campaign. In third place, with Colton Herter, Antonio Felix da Costa, and Roman Grosjean up there too. There is da Costa, who's got a 30-second time penalty that is going to be applied to his time at the end of the race. Sebastian Buemi, who's down in 11th position, he's behind Sebastian Bourdais, but it doesn't look he's able to make a move just yet. Now Scott Dixon, if he's got any chance of salvaging, you know, a podium out of this, he's got to be able to make the best of the stint he's on. He's got some track position in front of him, and he's making the most of it. As we can see a Midland there of Marino Sarto getting through on Mahavira Gunnathan, that's for 17th place. There's Nick de Vries in the race lead on board. I think he's coming up shortly to lap Helio Castroneves, who I think will be on fresher tyres anyway. Nick de Vries doing all he can. He's going for the one stop. I think my question would be, where is he going to filter back out once he does rejoin the race after his sole stop? And the same with Dixon. Pretty much all rests on him now because of Van Dorn's time penalty. So Dixon continuing on. De Vries not too far up the road, although I think that might be a back marker that Dixon will be coming up to shortly. Further back we can see Marino Sato holding up the 40 of Murafia Ragunathan. Behind them is the HRT of Adrian Sutil. Ryan Nasani is not too far back either. And Kensuke Nakajima, has he been overtaken by Juan Manuel Correa? It looks like he has been. So his race is going from bad to worse really for the home hero. Scott Dixon running in second place, nearly 10 seconds off the lead though from Nick de Vries. And there is the Dutchman. And we see a problem for Sebastian Bourdais. So Onyx's race has gone from bad to worse here, and it looks like the Frenchman is going to pull to the side. And that is him retiring from the League One race. And it has not been a good season really for Sebastian Bourdais so far. Now Bourdais, who his best results so far this season has been a 6th place finish in Sentul. He also got a 10th place finish in Sepang. He's failed to finish in Yongam and he's failing to finish here. So it's been a rather average start to the season unfortunately for the Frenchman, who had hoped for a lot more than this. Second driver to retire from the race then. That moves Sebastian Buemi up into the points in 10th position. Now, the next man ahead of Buemi is Alex Palou in the AGS. Alex Palou competing in his second Grand Prix World Series race. Cashineves, who's less than 5 seconds behind Kazuki Nakajima. He's got to get a move on really, get past all of those cars ahead of him that he knows are not as quick as his. He just needs to pick them off one by one. Now we can see Scott Dixon running in second place on track, nearly 7 seconds clear of third place Danny Unkandea. Colton Herta is fourth, Paul de Resta is in fifth. There's Roman Grosjean, Pato Award, Kamui Kobayashi, Alex Palou and Sebastian Buemi, your top 10 at the present moment. Vries is continuing on for now. He's got all the track position he needs. He's making the most of it so far, not tripping over any back markers as we speak. As we see, Roman Grosjean looks like he's lining up a pass on Antonio Felix da Costa. Going side by side into turn one. But I think da Costa's going to get back through on the Frenchman. So this is not playing into the hands of Roman Grosjean as far as his race is concerned. He'll be in front of de Vries once de Vries has done his stop, but being stuck behind da Costa is not what he wants. And in fact, da Costa is doing his teammate a favour by holding the Frenchman up. And in front of those two is Colton Herta, who is yet to make a pit stop as well. I think Grosjean, is he going to get through on da Costa into the Dunlop chicane this time? I think he is. Yeah, that's a slam dunk overtake for the Manor driver. And he is through up into 5th place on track. Lap 22 we're coming towards the end of. And de Vries is now nearly, he's run about 11 seconds clear of Dixon. Proving how quick that Minardi has been so far in this race. He's got on Herta locking up there, and that's going to give Grosjean an opportunity to get into the slipstream and have a go into turn one. How long will it be before Grosjean pulls alongside? Well, he's actually pulling alongside now. And Herta's straight line speed is no match for the Manor. Grosjean is through up to 4th place now. The next man ahead of him is Danny Unkandea in the Arrows. And there he is, rear wing view of the Spaniard. Retired from the first race in Sepang, 3rd in Yongam, 17th in Sentul after a spin into the gravel towards the end of the race. He had to make a pit stop, of course. Robin Fines doing his best to salvage something for Super Aguri, the reigning team's champions, of course. Topher Smith was in charge of the team before he moved on to Arrows. Michael Gillespie is now the man in charge. Scott Dixon, race winner in the first round in Sepang. Round 2, it was Antonio Felix da Costa. In round 3, it was the replacement for Will Power, Sebastian Buemi, for Leighton House. Buemi's now in front of Palou, and he's in 9th position. Next driver ahead is Kamui Kobayashi. He's nearly 10 seconds up the road from Buemi. Now Buemi's already made his first stop. Danny Unkandea right on board with again. Grosjean less than a second behind the Arrows driver. Now is he going to do it into the Dunlop chicane and have a go there? He may well do. Robin Fines in 15th place behind Marco Wittmann. He gets through, but for how long? Because Wittmann may be able to get back through on the inside, but no, Fines has got the move done. Fines ahead of the Prost. Goes up into 14th. Poderesta is further down the order, outside the top 20. Lap 24 completed. De Vries continuing on. We're at the halfway point in the race now. And I think on paper it's looking good for the Manor team, with Grosjean making light work of the drivers that he's not battling for in the long-term scheme of things in this race. He gets through on Unkandea, who almost thought about getting back through ahead of him, but he slots in behind. So Grosjean up into 3rd place on track. Dixon, 2nd in the Simtech. His teammate Stoffel van Don is in P11. He'll drop well down the order as it stands, as will Antonio Felix da Costa. I think da Costa's making most of his shenanigans earlier with the time penalties he's got by getting up into P6. I don't think he's made a pit stop yet in this race either as da Costa, so he's doing a stellar job at the moment, despite the circumstances. Adrian Sutil locking up into turn 1, running in a lowly 18th position. Sebastian Buemi's got the gap down between him and Kobayashi to around about 9 seconds now. Kobayashi 8th, Buemi in 9th. Dixon in 2nd place. He's around about 6 seconds ahead of Grosjean. He'll just be happy to keep going as he's doing so, because he's due into the pits very shortly. Castroneves is about to get an overtake done here. That looks like the Prost. No, sorry, that's the Onyx of Kazuki Nakajima who's got through. And through he goes, and up into 21st position. Not too far behind on the road is Nick de Vries, who's a lap ahead. I think once he gets close to those back markers in front, that'll be when he decides to pit in. Does the Formula 2 champion of 2019. Formula E champion of 2021 as well. Grosjean in P3, not too far behind Dixon, but we won't need to worry too much about Dixon or de Vries, because they are both due into the pits within the next few laps. 26 done. And de Vries and Dixon are still continuing on. There's de Vries in first position. I don't think he's won in the Grand Prix World Series yet. He definitely didn't compete in Season 1. This is actually the first time he's leading a Grand Prix World Series race. He did compete last season though. He came in at BAR. Or was it AGS? I can't exactly remember. It might have been both actually, thinking of it. He raced for BAR in rounds 7 and then 8 to 16. So he competed in the last 10 races of their campaign. His best result with the team had been a 4th place finish in round 12, which would have been in Hockenheim. Lap 27. De Vries still leads, over 12 seconds clear of Scott Dixon. You can see Stoff Van Dorn in your picture, running in 11th place. He'll have a 30-second time penalty applied to his time for the collision with Sean Galeo. And so Felix Da Costa will get in the same penalty for his shenanigans with Helio Castroneves. Da Costa comes in from P6. And I'm expecting to still probably come back out in the top 15. They're trying to make their way through ahead of him. Hello coming in as well in the AGS. And Da Costa will rejoin behind Alex Lynn in 12th position. And don't be at all surprised to see him make a fight back through the field. A lot of these drivers are still due to come into the pits for their second stops. Nick De Vries is still carrying on in the race lead. He hasn't stopped yet. We can say one driver is coming into the pits, and that's Scott Dixon from P2. Grosjean will go up into second place on track. I mean, De Vries had a couple more laps left on his fuel count, but decided to play it safe and come in. He'll probably rejoin behind Sebastian Buemi in 8th position. Grosjean continuing on in second place then. Not too far behind De Vries, but he won't need to worry about the Minardi driver. Yunkadea will be up there in 3rd place. Colton Herter is 4th. And we've got Pato Award in 5th position. And Dixon did rejoin in front of Van Dorn. So you can set about setting some fastest laps. Less than 10 seconds to gap is between Buemi and Dixon. As Da Costa tries to make a move already on Alex Lynn after his stop. That's not the best place to be making a move there. As Nakajima comes in for his what should be his last stop of the race. And Nick De Vries is in for Minardi. And that will allow Grosjean to go back into the race lead of the Fuji Grand Prix. Yunkadea will go into second place. And Colton Herter and Pato Ward should make their way through as well. Well, Herter is in for his only stop. And De Vries rejoins in 5th position behind Kamui Kobayashi. It's not too far behind the Japanese pilot. Arrows are looking good for a double podium at the moment. Da Costa coming back through on Alex Lynn. And Colton Herter, is he going to get out in front of the pair of them? I think he is, but Da Costa should get his nose in front. And he has done. Gets through on Herter and Lynn. So that move was crucial there for the Portuguese driver. He gets through. He still has that penalty hanging over him. But the less time he loses by getting past these cars, the better. He'll probably end up outside the points for Da Costa, but he'll give it a good old go. It's De Vries running in 5th position behind Kobayashi. Buemi 6th, Dixon 7th, Van Dorn 8th, Markelov 9th, Da Costa in 10th. As De Vries continues on, once Grosjean, Junkendaya, O'Ward and Kobayashi come in for their second stops, he'll go back into the lead of the race. And actually, he could be the favourite to take victory, unless Grosjean can get the hammer down once his last stop is done. Now, the next bat marker in front of the Frenchman. I actually don't know for certain, but it's someone from outside the top 15 who's probably come up behind the 40s and the Midlands. Two teams that have been struggling so far this season. They even struggled last season as well. Midland went down initially. Oh, it's contact between Herta and Lin going into turn 1. The rear wing is gone from the AGS, and I would imagine that Lin will be penalised for that. So as they go side by side into turn 1, the AGS gets in front. Lin just doesn't get his foot off the throttle. And so the rear wing has gone from the AGS, and that'll be a time penalty going Lin's way. If Van Dorn and Da Costa have been penalised for something similar to that, I can't see why Lin wouldn't go off the hook off that. So Herta is overtaken there. Yeah, it's a 30-second time penalty in the back of the grid for the next running Kyle Army for Alex Lane. And that's a hit from behind by the Midland! And Colton Herta is out! Really unfortunate. Marino Sarto it was that ran into the back of him. And he's taken him out. Didn't notice that he had the rear wing damage soon enough. And what will the stewards say on that one? And I can imagine it'll be the same. In fact, because he's taken Herta out, that could be a race ban for Marino Sarto. It's just clumsy from the Japanese. Herta is out of the race. That could have been a good result for the AGS team. They really are in need of some points. Now, what is their verdict going to be on Marino Sarto, I wonder? If they're going to remain consistent, it should be a race ban because Sarto took Herta out of the race. Junkendaya has come in for a pit stop now. His second of the race. And it's a one race ban for Marino Sarto for the contact with Colton Herta. So he'll be out of the next race in Kyalami. Now Correa was on the sidelines after the first race for contact he made with Colton Herta of all people. So it's not the first time that a Midland and the AGS have come together this season. Now, Rio Haryanto came in for Correa in Yongam. So I can imagine he'll be in again for Marino Sarto in Kyalami. That's only the third driver gone from this race. Kazuki Nakajima in 23rd position. Casneves continues to fight back through the field. He's only in 19th. With another stop to make as well, I think. And there he is, behind the Midland of Juan Manuel Correa. It's really been an off day for Casneves, through no fault of his own, it has to be said. Pato Award running in P2. Kobayashi has got Nick De Vries right behind now, as well as Grosjean comes in for his final stop. Award will go through into the lead. And De Vries looks like he's got through on Kobayashi for what will be second place on track. Unless Kobayashi has something to say on that. No, in fact, he's coming in also. So both Manas are in at the same time. Now, that's a bit unusual to see both teams. So the team pits in both cars on the same lap. Buemi is in also in the Leighton House, as it looks like Van Dorn is making his way into the pits. Unless it was someone else that came in. I think that might be Markelov actually. Markler coming in for Prost. Grosjean rejoins in 4th position ahead of Van Dorn. And then we can see Castroneves getting them moved on Correa before. So, oh, there's contact made! And Castroneves, his rear wing, has gone again! I cannot believe that! So Correa allows him through. But just, oh, is that Kevin Castroneves cutting across on Correa? Or did Correa just not slow down enough? Let's have a look. It looked more like Castroneves cut across on him, to be honest with you, as they were entering the braking zone. So I'll leave that for the stewards to decide. But Castroneves' race is totally wrecked now. There's no way he's going to come back from this. Yeah, it's no further action made. And I'm not at all surprised. Castroneves will be back in the pits. He's already made 2 pit stops in this race. And I think he was due into the pits again in the next few laps anyway. But that pretty much sums up everything involving him in the Fuji Grand Prix. Buemi's pit stop has left him in 13th place behind Roy Nissany. And that's an entry problem for Da Costa. And that is him out. And he'll be starting from the back of the grid in Kyalami because of the contact he had with Castroneves earlier on. So that's little consolation really for Helio Castroneves to see Da Costa retire. And we are seeing a battle there between Junkendaya and Van Dorn for what is 5th position, and Van Dorn gets through. Van Dorn with the penalty hanging over him gets through ahead of the arrows. So 4 drivers out of the race now. Da Costa, Herta, and 2 other drivers we've lost from this race. As we see an overtake from, that looks like De Vries on O'Ward for the race lead. So De Vries takes the lead from Pato O'Ward. And De Vries looks well on course for the victory now as it stands. So whilst one Minardi is out, another is leading. Providing De Vries gets to the end of the race. Castroneves comes in for a new rear wing for the 2nd time in this race. As Junkendaya battles it out with... Oh, that's Dixon running wide and locking up. Keeps the car on track. Now Grosjean is 22 seconds behind Nick De Vries. De Vries does not need to pit again, remember. So, in 16 laps, Grosjean needs to make up over a second on the Minardi, sorry, to have any chance of the victory. It was 22.3 in the last sector, and Van Dorn is heading for the pits now. Grosjean's not making up enough time at the moment on De Vries. Now, De Vries took pole position by 0.3 of a second, as we watch a replay of Junkendaya and Van Dorn nearly coming together, entering the pit lane. Oh, nearly the same further back there. Now, is that Alex Lynn that cuts across them, Kobayashi? Because that looked rather dangerous to me. I'm getting a replay of it now. And yeah, I think Lynn read the situation well and allowed Kobayashi to go through before he ducked into the pits. Buemi goes up into 7th place now then, behind Kobayashi. And with Lynn and Van Dorn in the pits, that should move Correa up the order, I'd have thought. Although Correa is coming into the pits and Palou goes up into 9th position. So can Alex Palou salvage a points finish for AGS today? There's Dixon in P3. He's still due into the pits, I'd have thought. Although he's actually done his last stop as De Vries, so as Dixon. So if he's got any hope of... So if Grosjean's got any hope of winning the race, he has to pass Dixon, O'Ward and De Vries. Well, in fact, O'Ward is coming in for his last stop now. Now, does Dixon do the same? No, he's carrying on. I think he's already made his last stop as Dixon. Grosjean goes up into 3rd place. Yonkadale will go up into 4th. Kobayashi should go up into 5th position. Although it's going to be close, actually, between Buemi and O'Ward. And it looks like O'Ward is getting out now. He's just behind Kobayashi, but he'll rejoin in front of Sebastian Buemi. Grosjean in 3rd place then. 21 seconds behind. He's closing down the gap, but not quickly enough. The pace he's setting will not be enough for Grosjean to win this race. Well, I can say that De Vries has locked up into turn 15. He's lost a little bit of time, so that'll give Grosjean a little bit of encouragement. Sutil coming into the pits also for HRT. Yeah, he just carried too much speed into that. Into turn 14. It's quite a double left-hander, actually. One that's a smooth left-hander, one that's like a sharper left-hander before the last turn. Paul di Resta coming in for Super Aguri. Romain Fines in P11 right now. Alex Palou running in P8. Van Dorn behind him, carrying a 30-second time penalty. Martin Markelov in the final points paying position in 10th place, but will go up to 9th as it stands. It's been a terrific effort from Alex Palou, IndyCar champion of 2021. Firm favourite to win this year's IndyCar championship as well. And that's Grosjean lapping Paul di Resta, who's just come out of the pits. That won't help Grosjean's cause, to be honest with you. Whilst we see Sean Galeal, who's just on his own really in 21st position. So we're not got too long to go left in round 4. There's been quite a bit of drama, but not too much. Drivers have been behaving themselves more or less, although we have had drivers picking up time penalties for collisions. But De Vries, it's been a relatively strong race from his perspective. 14 seconds clear of Scott Dixon. I'll go into turn 1 with Nick De Vries. Now the next driver that he's going to be lapping is the HRT of Adrian Sutil. So through turn number 6. Kobayashi, who's under threat now from Pato O'Ward. To complete an overtake on the Japanese, and that's him through up to P5. Both arrows in the top 5 now. I have to say, arrows who have had a respectable start to the season. Best finish of 3rd in Yongam. Should they finish where they are in 4th and 5th, they'll collect 22 championship points. They'll go in front of Super Aguri. And I think that's the only position they'll gain in the championship. But there is Nick De Vries continuing on. 12 laps away from victory as Grosjean locks up into the last turn. And behind Grosjean is Di Resta, who's just pitted, so he needs to be careful he doesn't get unlapped by the Super Aguri. Otherwise he's going to lose time trying to get back through on him again. But he's in play for 2nd place here is the Frenchman. There's another back marker ahead that he'll need to get through, and that's Sean Galeal in the BAR. Since O'Ward got past Kobayashi, Buemi is in play to get 6th position. Alex Palou is too far back, even on the fresher tyres that he's on, to mount any form of challenge. is Grosjean in 3rd place. Behind Grosjean is Junkendaya, who's over 7 seconds back. Pato Award is another 67 seconds back as well. Nakajima is about to be overtaken by Adrian Sutil for 17th position. Correa 19th and Castroneves in 20th position. Castroneves is a lap down as well for your information on the leader. Although he'll be on fresher tyres than De Vries because De Vries is on the 1 stop. So if he's lucky, he might try and get back on the lead lap. He's also got to get past Correa as well in order to do that. And there is De Vries in your picture. He's coming up towards more back markers. He's coming through the Dunlop chicane. And Buemi's back in the pits. And I think he's had a problem as Buemi. I don't know what's happened. That is not a scheduled stop. And that's hurt his race. It goes from bad to worse for Chris Cavani's Leighton-House. He's going to fall out of the points. Unbelievable luck. Running up there so well in P7 to pick up some useful points for the team, but it looks like Buemi may well not be getting anything. He might actually try and go for the fastest. He's lucky as Grosjean locks up into turn 14. And that's how I pulled the rest of this close in. Grosjean holds the point for the fastest lap. As they come round over the line once more. De Vries running in P1. So that's everyone up to Nakajima at the moment. Correa is 19th, as I've already mentioned. And further up ahead, that's Sebastian Buemi, who's thinking of a move already on Marco Wittmann into the Dunlop chicane. He'll be on the ragged edge. Well, Sebastian Buemi gets past the German. Up to 15th place he goes. He knows he won't want to get lapped by De Vries, so Buemi is getting on with it now in the remaining laps. So he's ahead of Wittmann, Sutil and Nakajima, of which those 3 are about to be lapped. Next man ahead of Buemi is Roy Nissany in the 40. Now 40 have only got 6 points to their name. Those coming in the first race of the season in Malaysia. Scott Dixon will be very happy with his 2nd place. There's Adrian Sutil. And another off day in 17th place as De Vries gets through on Nakajima to lap. De Vries on course for his first victory in the Grand Prix World Series. Minardi will become the first repeat team to win a Grand Prix World Series race this season. Already won with Da Costa in Yongam. And so Buemi is only a couple of seconds behind Nissany, but into the context for Nick De Vries, should he win today's race, he'll go on to 35 points. He'll move in front of Da Costa, move in front of Buemi, De Resta, Van Don, Will Power, Pato Award as well. He'll go up from 14th in the standings to 3rd. And Dixon will take the lead of the championship ahead of Helio Castroneves, with Castroneves not scoring today. And it looks like both Leighton-House cars are going to be finishing outside the points. So coming through the sweeping right-hander. De Vries behind Sutil. Grosjean in P3. Junkendaya in P4. O'Ward in P5, as we've seen Nissany and Buemi go through the Dunlop chicane. Up ahead of him are Alex Lynn and Marino Sato. Now Sato, because of his race ban, will be carrying a disqualification over him. So he'll be excluded from the race result, whatever happens. So at least that will promote Buemi up another position. And another position that Buemi will gain as well is Stoffel van Dorn, because he's carrying that 30-second time penalty. As De Vries gets through on Sutil to lap, providing he doesn't trip over him. He doesn't, thankfully. 4 drivers out of the race. De Costa, Herta, Bourdais and Giovinazzi. The gap between Dixon and Grosjean, as Buemi gets past Nissany and up to 14th position. The gap between Dixon and Grosjean has come down to 4.2 seconds. With 7 laps remaining. I don't think Grosjean's going to have enough time to get through on Dixon, let alone catch up to him. And there's Van Dorn in P8 on track. He's behind Alex Palou. This will be a little consolation for him, because as it stands, he'll end up outside the points. Now, depending on where he actually finishes, could depend on how many cars Nick De Vries laps. See Grosjean there. On course for a decent result there in P3. I'm sure Sam Oliver wanted the victory. We are watching Stoffel van Dorn make a move on Alex Palou now. Alex Palou won't need to fight this, to be honest with you, because he knows that Van Dorn is carrying that penalty. So he allows him through. Van Dorn up to P7 on track. And the next driver up ahead of Van Dorn is Kamui Kobayashi, who's just under 25 seconds up. And there's Buemi. Getting past now Alex Lynn up to 13th. Making the most of the new tyres is Buemi. He might just sneak into the points and get a point out of this, Buemi. It has been some drive from the Swiss in the 2 races he had to substitute for Will Power. Chris Cavani will have a decision to make whether to allow Will Power back in or keep Buemi on board. But to be fair, given the performance that Will Power put in Malaysia before the disaster in Yongan, you'll probably want to put him back in just for the sake of the contract that Power has with the team. We're on the pit straight then, as Van Dorn goes through. That's this Grosjean going towards the Dunlop chicane. We're on lap 45 out of 50. De Vries' lead is nearly 17 seconds, as Marino Sato is about to be overtaken now by Sebastian Buemi. Buemi will go up into 12th place unless Marino Sato can do anything about that. No, the move is done. Buemi gets through. And there's an engine problem for Roy Nissany further back. That's definitely a 40 blown up. And Nissany is going to pull to the side, and that is him retiring. And I don't actually think he's going to be classified as a finisher either. So Nissany retires from the race yet again. That's 2 races in a row he's not finished. So that's 1 less car for Dave Goddard to worry about now. Engine problems for the Israeli. Dixon in 2nd place now. Well, he's been in 2nd place for some time. Marco Wittmann's moved up to 15th place. Cashineves will be up a position as well. And I think that Sebastian Buemi will be line up a pass on Mahathir Raghunathan very shortly. Danny Junkendaya and Pato O'Ward are 3 seconds apart from each other. Kobayashi is 6th for Mana, looking of course to get 2 Manas in the top 6, something which they haven't achieved so far this campaign. Hats off to Alex Palou, who's on course to get a P7 out of this once Van Dorn's time penalty is applied. And Artem Markov will go up into 8th. Frines will go up to 9th. And as it stands, Matt Vibergren will go up into 10th. But I think Buemi is about to get an overtake completed on him in a moment. He's not 3 on him yet. We'll just wait to see how he gets on. Maybe next time round on the pit straight. No, it's going to be here, look, because Buemi is alongside the 40, and he's about to go through up into 11th place, which will become 10th once Van Dorn's time penalty is applied. So Buemi gets past. Excellent job. Next man he can catch is Robin Frines. He's only about 3 seconds up the road from him. There is Nick de Vries. He's just lapped, although he's locking up into turn 14, but gets away with it. Grosjean's just over 3 seconds behind Dixon. De Vries is about to complete his 47th lap, and he's looking good for the victory now. Only mechanical gremlins can rob him. As it stands with Van Dorn's time penalty, he'll drop to 14th. And the only way that can change is if either he picks up the pace in the remaining laps, or if De Vries continues to lap more cars. Sato will be excluded from the race for the collision with Herta anyway, so it'll actually be 13th position at worst for Van Dorn. It is subject to appeal, of course, but I doubt that it'll be overturned. And Buemi's less than 2 seconds behind Frines. Very close to the end now. And there is the manner of Romain Grosjean is stopped behind the BAR of Sean Galeau, of which he's about to lap. And this is not the part of the course you'll want to be stuck behind. As they come towards the final corner of the circuit, there is Dixon. Grosjean isn't too far behind. He's safe from Danny Juncadella. The gap between Juncadella and O'Ward is down to 2 seconds, but we've only got a couple of laps remaining now. Now Grosjean needs to get through on the BAR in front here. He will not want to get stuck behind. There is Markelov making a move on what looks like Alex Palou to put himself up into 8th position. Great move there from Markelov. As we see, Marco Wittmann is just ahead of Adrian Sutil. Markelov on course for his first points of the season. Marco Wittmann got a 7th place finish for the team in Zental last time out, and I think Markelov is about to replicate that here in Zental. In Fuji, rather. And we see Dixon, there is Galeau holding up Grosjean. Now Grosjean won't like this one bit. Galeau has been holding him up for some time. Now will the stewards take a look at that, I wonder? Well, De Vries is about to start the last lap of the race now. It's been a marvellous drive from pole position. He wasn't in the lead at the beginning, Grosjean was earlier, but De Vries made the strategy work in his favour. Nearly 20 seconds clear of the whole pack. In League 2, the 2-stop strategy proved to be the best strategy it seemed, but in League 1, the 1-stop strategy has been the way to go. I think Castroneves is right behind Correa. Both drivers are lapped down, of course. Castroneves will not be in the points by the end of this race. Grosjean will be, though. 3rd position behind Dixon. Dixon will take the lead of the championship, but Nick de Vries will see the checkered flag in sight for the first time and can call himself a Grand Prix World Series race winner. And there's Castroneves trying to make a move on Correa, but he's not going to have enough time to make a move. He might do it as they cross over the line, but we need to go to the race winner, Nick de Vries. And he's about to complete the final lap of the race. Through the last corner he comes. Nick de Vries has had it all go his way in this one. What a drive from the young Dutchman. Nick de Vries for Minardi, who are about to celebrate their second win of the season. But it's the first for Nick de Vries in the Grand Prix World Series. He wins the Fuji Grand Prix. A commanding performance from the man who'd recently been dropped from the AlphaTauri squad in Formula 1 last month. But what an excellent drive. I think Castroneves, did he get through? I think Buemi got past Fines on the last lap. But we'll go to Scott Dixon, returning to the podium after a 2-race absence. He takes the lead in the championship as well, ahead of Castroneves, who's had an absolute awful day today. Romain Grosjean third for Mana. He moves up the order very nicely. Daniel Kadea fourth, just ahead of his teammate Pato O'Ward in fifth. And it's Kamui Kobayashi bringing some Japanese pride on home turf for himself. It's been a brilliant day for the Japanese fans in the Grand Prix World Series today. Kimiya Sato taking victory in lead 2 for Dome, and Kamui Kobayashi, the highest of the Japanese drivers, in 6th. Stoffel Van Dorn will be 7th over the line, but will drop to 14th, or 13th rather, because of Marino Sato's disqualification. So we'll see Artem Markelov move up to 7th, Alex Palou up to 8th, Sebastian Buemi up to 9th, and Robin Fines will take the final point in 10th position. Maher Raghunathan will just miss out on points in 11th. Alex Lynn will be 12th, and Stoffel Van Dorn, with the time penalty applied, will be 13th. But there is your race winner. It is Nick de Vries for Minardi in Mount Fuji. Scott Dixon, second place, 20 seconds behind in the Simtek, with Romain Grosjean third, Daniel Kadea fourth, Pato O'Ward fifth, had a Kamui Kobayashi in sixth, Artem Markelov bagging his first points of the season in 7th, Alex Palou 8th for AGS, his first points in the Grand Prix World Series, Sebastian Buemi snatching 9th right at the death, Rebel Robin Fines picking up the last point. Maher Raghunathan, Stoffel Van Dorn in 12th, have Alex Lynn, Marco Wittmann, Adrian Sutil, Suki Nakajima, Juan Manuel Correa, Helio Castroneves, Sean Galeo, and Paul de Resta with the last of the finishes, as well as Ronnie Sandi, who's actually been classified in 21st place. Marino Sato excluded from the race results after the collision with Colton Herta, who retired, along with Antonio Felix da Costa. Sebastian Bourdais and Antonio Giovinazzi failed to finish. Romain Grosjean got the point for the fastest lap, and Nick de Vries got the point for pole position. As I've already mentioned, Scott Dixon takes the lead in the championship. Nick de Vries moves up to 3rd in the championship with his race win, and he'll celebrate that long into the night. Let's run down on the championship results, courtesy of Topher Smith.
Well, that is 8 winners from 8 races. A fantastic start to the Season 3 Grand Prix World Series. It could not really be more competitive at the moment, so we could potentially even make it 9 from 9 or 10 from 10 at the next round. This is going to be so exciting to watch as the rest of the season plays out. Congratulations to Nick de Vries and the Minardi team. The Minardi team has become the first to win 2 races this season, but we are still 8 for 8 on drivers. Fascinating stuff. As for the Drivers' Championship, Scott Dixon, with his second place, moves into the lead 10 points ahead of Helio Castroneves in the Leighton House. Nick de Vries, with that victory, moves up to 3rd, ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa, 8 points between those two. Romain Grosjean is 5th, on the same number of points as da Costa, and right there fighting for it. Sebastian Buemi, might we see him at the next round in Kyalami? We'll have to wait to see what Chris Cavani decides on his driver lineup. He's equal with Daniel Kadea on 27 points, but ahead virtue of his victory in Sentul. Pato O'Ward is 8th, ahead of Paul de Resta, and Stoffel Van Dorn rounds out the top 10 in the Simtek on 21 points. Leighton House have held on to their lead in the team standings, but that lead has been slashed from 30 points down to 10. 82 points for Leighton House, 72 for Minardi. Simtek still there, a further 4 points behind. Arrows holding on to 4th place ahead of Super Aguri. Manor are on 36, ahead of Onyx on 19, BAR on 13, Prost on 12, and HRT on 6, bringing up the rear of the top 10. What a fascinating day it's been. Mount Fuji once again providing some spectacular racing in the Grand Prix World Series. Next time we will be racing in South Africa as we take to the Kyalami circuit. Make sure you stick with us and tune in then. Until then, take care.